All right, what is up? We are back. Welcome on a Tuesday night. And we always hate to start with complaining right away. It is what it is, tackling the controversial issues. But court storming in college basketball? Hey, yo, we just sat down and got the end of a North Carolina-Miami game. Shout out. Miami, we didn't realize their point guard this year, Trey Donaldson, shout out. Had a little run for the Maize and Blue last year, so... we have some fond memories of last season. Shout out. Hopefully he's having a great year this year at Miami. And it seems like they are. They just, again, got a win against number 11 seed North Carolina. And, this is one of those, like, you kind of dipping your toe into the college basketball season in the middle, more toward the end of the year, obviously, and just looking at some of the teams on paper, it's like, okay, obviously we can understand the win-losses and matchups and strengths of schedules, how resumes can be a little bit different, but it was going in, before the game went final, the teams, Miami and North Carolina, were separated by one game. North Carolina was 19-4, Miami 18-5, and they have the same ACC record. So now after this game, they're tied on the season for the record. Miami has the better ACC record. Again, I would assume that they're probably not going to take their place in the AP poll, and that part of it does make sense. But in some ways, I guess, again, I'm not sitting here saying that they're the better team because North Carolina's going to be like, well, we lost. Did they lose to Duke at one point in the year, or did they get the win on Duke? I don't know. Duke's got 2 losses as well, too. They're up next on the slate. But, and I mean, this game on paper is, I guess, maybe a little bit easier to read. But I guess maybe not. Pitt right away. I don't know. Is it going to be a Duke North Carolina upset night here on a Tuesday night? We didn't know it was going to be so exciting. We didn't know we were going to be so thrilled. But, and I guess maybe the teal hoodie, you guys think we're North Carolina fans. No, it's not. It's not. That's not what's going on. We're just repping the Super Bowl logo for next year. Really, I mean, that is the focus for the task tonight. So we've also got, a light night in the NBA as well, too. Only 4 games on the slate in total. Halftime right now for Clippers Rockets on in the background. But Mike, I think we might have mentioned it a couple times, check the tapes, but I think we did kind of predict, again, it wasn't necessarily a bold take that, Bad Bunny was going to be at the Super Bowl next year, this past year, but we did, after the Kendrick Super Bowl, try to figure out who it was, and the name we came up with. I guess IT is going to have to check the tapes officially because we had it narrowed down, I think, to Playboi Carti and Bad Bunny, but I think we ended up picking Bad Bunny as the ultimate guy who might be, the one to, ultimate guy, ultimate artist. It just, obviously, it could be anybody, but, the ultimate, I guess, we were even saying in the Super Bowl watch-along on Sunday, do they bring in a guy? Do they go outside of music? Do they go? I guess it's like, okay, what is that? We like the Bad Bunny halftime. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying, do they get experimental? Do they go like a David Blaine halftime for the Super Bowl? Could he could he put together like a 13-minute Magic set that would just be super captivating? I think it would be crazy. I don't mean to already start diving into the list. It is what it is, but IT is going to have not only write it down. David Blaine might be moving up the list. It is what it is, but we did mention the Super Bowl logo, and of course the controversies, theories about the Super Bowl NFL script have started to float out. So we have, of course, the evidence in the past that I guess Super Bowl at this point, for 2027, evidence in the past has said that the NFL is willing to leak the script in regards to who will be in the matchup. So the logo this year, if we get an image of it, can Bing actually give us an image of the Super Bowl logo? I guess unfortunately not. It is what it is, but that's okay. We'll look up the one from last year, I guess, first anyways. And the 2026 logo itself, I don't know if it revealed quite as much. In the moment, it did look a little bit more, it was a little bit harder to read. That's for sure. I mean, obviously, there is no team that actually has like pink as a base color in the NFL. Am I not an NFL fan? Am I forgetting? But the color combos themselves, of course, just seemed a little. But you look back at it now, and I guess there was maybe some. Obviously the green and yellow, very Packers. I think yellow could be Steelers as well too, and then maybe, yeah, I guess Vikings do have a little bit of yellow, purple and yellow. So maybe pink and yellow, purple and yellow, a little bit off, but obviously green and blue. Very Seattle, and then we literally even got the pine trees as well too, and I guess the bay. So it's kind of close. I guess they were able to get it in the picture, but we were getting the blue and green color scheme in this logo, and there is some red on the bridge as well too. So again, I guess in this picture they don't have red highlighted as one of the colors on the image. But I mean, ayo, do we have to run this through the chat GPT and ask? I'm pretty sure, maybe like a burnt orange type of situation. Maybe a Golden Gate red, a Golden Gate orange. I don't know exactly what the technical term for it is. But definitely, again, would lean Boston, would lean the Patriots, looking back at it. And, does the blue double as both Seattle and New England there? It can kind of work both ways. So there was also, of course, the image, or I guess not really the image, the graphic that they posted of all the, can we see, let's see if we can find that one here in the search. Sam Darnold, Drake May graphic, maybe we can look back and see what was happening, because they did post them, of course, closer to, here we go, closer to the Lombardi Trophy, where going into the season, they posted this in September. So this is definitely, you can see one of those, like, Thursday night before the game happens, maybe like Thursday. I guess the sky's the sun's going down. I don't know. There's some kind of vortex situation there. I don't know if they would start the day off with a post set, during the sunset, but maybe right before the game, who's ready to get the trophy, opening night, kickoffs in an hour. We could definitely go back, I guess, and see. I guess this one wasn't posted from the NFL, but a little repost. And Barkley, of course, leading the Eagles to the Super Bowl last year, not close. And they were, front of the graphic here. I mean, Mahomes injured. I guess, did everybody here get injured in the graphic? I guess, shout out to the NFL as well too. But and I guess here we can't really see it as well. It's a little bit blurry, but we do have Drake May here, and I think Darnold was here. I guess the Seahawks jersey is a little difficult to make out there, but the Patriots, you can see the red shoulder pads. Obviously, Drake May. I guess we don't have to necessarily. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Here's this is like in Deja Vu. We're like zooming in. We got the security cameras. We're picked up. There was another. I forget what. There was another. There was we've now found the 2 action movies where they've depixelated an image, but there was another one I was watching the other day. I forget, and it's great, where you just press a button. It didn't matter at what point the technology was at any time in movies, they always had the ability to just make an image crystal clear. Like, let me just press this button, I'll make it crystal clear. You think, even going back to like when they would develop pictures, if you had to develop a picture in a movie, and sometimes that would be kind of there'd be maybe a time with that as well too. Of course, in Usual Suspects, you have it being drawn by the person, and then it being faxed over, the longest fax in the history of fax. But the actual, person has to go into the room and put the thing in the little bucket, and they have to develop the image. Like, it feels like those were always like super crystal clear, like the camera angle exactly where you needed it to be. Seemed like those worked out more often than not. It would definitely, if you were making the movie and you're just like, well, the images, they're not developing, like, I guess end credits, the mystery can't be solved. But we do have the ability, I guess, here to be able to clear this up. So they tried to throw us off, Jaden Daniels kind of getting close here. Tua, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, and there was people even pointing out as well too, now remembering, Jonathan Taylor and Sauce Gardner. I mean, you can't lie. I mean, I guess if you put enough players in an image, can we count here, like, how many different players are in this image? I guess we can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, like I guess one for each team. Is there one for each team here? That would definitely make sense. So you got, you put 32 guys in an image like that, like, like you could probably make some crossover. But to have the fact that the two Super Bowl contendants are going to be closest to the Lombardi Trophy, can we admit it? Suspicious? I don't know. And then, I mean, the Colts, we didn't trade for two as well too, but we did trade for or Drake May or Darnold. Honestly, hey yo. I'm not saying anybody, because if you would have showed us this graphic at the beginning of the season again and been like, hey yo, the Colts are gonna start off 8-0 and they're gonna get Sauce Gardner, I'd have been like, well, I guess this, it sounds good. Sounds like we're in for a good season. I can't necessarily complain about that. So, again, obviously maybe second half of the year, Taylor, fading back a little bit. The Colts, not obviously the same team that they were, but this is definitely a good note to keep an eye on the type of offseason posts as well too, where the NFL might be dropping these types of clues. And they knew of. The word on the street about the logos has been, it's been obvious for the last couple of years, especially with them having the two colors. I would say with multiple colors, but them just having kind of mainly two base colors in the NFL logo. Because again, for this year, maybe they tried to throw us off a little bit, mixing in a couple different schemes, and then they definitely confirmed they confirmed the script later with the post that we were just pointing out there. And like we're saying, looking back, you do see where the color schemes for the teams do make sense in this logo as well too. So it's like the NFL didn't really clear their name of the conspiracy there. So I don't know. Let's see, NFL Super Bowl logo history. I think that might be a good, and it's of course gonna bring back some of the older Super Bowl logos. Yeah, Chad. Ayo, classic. It is what it is. The team logos as well too. We could pull up a graphic of all the team logos and the history of those and see how cool they used to be. Ayo. But I guess that's as far as we can zoom in here. Let's see if we can open this up in a different tab. But oh wait, we lost it. We'll get it back on screen here. Here we go. Okay, so we do have the last couple of years where, the Chiefs, of course, and the Eagles played in this one. I guess the purple was no, because we had just LX this past one, right? So we had, now we have to remember the past Super Bowls. It was just Chiefs Eagles. So do we have to cross reference? And then the Bengals were in that orange one though, on that logo. And then you have a little bit of yellow on the bottom there, a little bit of a yellow orange gradient, I guess. But again, they of course the Bengals lost to the Rams that year. So do we have to check is the winner on the bottom? So is the teal team gonna win the Super Bowl this next year? Is that the clues that we're gathering looking at these graphics? But Philly, Kansas City was, again, we're not mistaken, the last Super Bowl there. Kansas City versus San Francisco. Kansas City versus Philly again. So wait a second. Make sure we're getting the numbers correct with the actual Super Bowls themselves. Maybe the theory is maybe it's not actually true. But LVI 2? Okay, wait. LVI 2 was Chiefs Eagles. Okay, yeah. And then Chiefs versus Niners was the next one. So that would have been the LVI 3. Oh, so this I guess might be a little bit older than they don't have the, I guess, yeah, obviously we're missing this past one here. But the new one, do we have the new one pulled up for 2027? Here, we can see the new one, which I'm sure has been going around. Okay, we're back in the same spot again that we were paused. Let's be specific. We need the logo here to look at the conspiracy. Oh, that's the old one as well too. But kind of points it out. I guess this one is giving the Niners the kind of purple. That is a little bit of a stretch. But yeah, obviously, 3 out of 4 there, pretty consistent. And maybe we go back and look at the player image from the post as well too for this Chiefs-Niners year. Maybe Christian McCaffrey or Fred Warner and Pat Mahomes, like Fred Warner and Joe Tooney were standing really close to each other in the graphic. IT might have to go back and look that up. Why is this so super crazy to find? Oh, the Super Bowl? Well, I guess maybe we just need the one Super Bowl. That's fine there. Let's see. Super Bowl, Super Bowler, Super Bowl logo 2027. We just need conspiracies. Oh, here we go. Okay, perfect. We've got the orange and the teal being very, very prominently represented. So, again, I guess if we were going based on that other image as well, too, there was some NFC being on the bottom, AFC being on the top. Hey, yo, because I have seen, of course, one of the initial teams that jumps out, maybe being optimistic for them taking the leap this upcoming year would, of course, be the Bears in the NFC. You have Caleb Williams in year 3, the Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson duo going into year 2. Of course, Ben Johnson having a really great first season there. And, again, I don't know, start doing too many offseason topics, but I'm not saying that the landscape of the league has changed too much from the quarterback spot. I mean, Caleb Williams himself was very, very, very productive this year and doesn't turn the ball over a ton at the end of the day. And, again, is obviously able to, function in what Ben Johnson was doing offensively there, pretty consistently. And like we're saying, does obviously have those abilities to take those next step forward. But if you were just looking to see where the shift in the league could, of course, happen, and I mean, we've seen that whole draft class now, of course, have playoff success. So maybe there's just like a regular season at some point where they all kind of, have the regular season of being those, top quarterbacks in the league to some extent. But I mean, you definitely have to consider it as well, too. I think the difficult part for the Bears, though, is the AFC counterpart being the teal. And I guess maybe we just go blue in general, because again, I mean, this literally just looks like the Dolphins logo. I guess we said the Bears jumped out first, but I guess both the color schemes together, it obviously is the Dolphins color scheme. I guess, the difficult part is going to be, are the Dolphins going to make the Super Bowl this next year? Do we even remember who the Dolphins hired as their head coach? I don't know, some white guy, but of course, I don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be this upcoming season. Shout out. We've been saying that Quinn Ewers might be a nice starter. Are we going to really call this Quinn Ewers thing? Hey, yo, maybe this is our next big prediction. Quinn Ewers takes the Dolphins to the Super Bowl. Hey, yo, we'll definitely see. Okay, I guess we don't have the access to the next season here. Let's see. Off-season updates. Dolphins head coach. Who did they end up getting? Hey, yo, Jeff Hafley reportedly hire Adam Gase after 5-year hiatus as the head coach. Hey, yo, I don't think that is what is. And the Chargers got him. Okay. That was I guess Adam Gase going back to the Jets as an assistant would be pretty crazy. But they also got McDaniel as well too. From speaking of, I guess we're not even looking at the Jets. We're looking at the Dolphins, but they did get McDaniel. So McDaniel and Adam Gase both in the Chargers. Hey, yo, Herbert, he can't fail. He literally can't fail. He's got Harbaugh, Gase, and all those guys. Anthony Weaver, Ravens. Oh, they got Oh, shout out. The Dolphins are locked in. Hey, yo. Okay. I guess we got to give him credit. Shout out. So Weaver. Oh, no, Hafley is the guy. Okay, it is what it is. They hire Hafley on the 19th, I guess a while ago. This news really flew under the radar. It is what it is. Oh, Packers defensive coordinator. I mean, no disrespect. I mean, maybe we just got to be more locked in. I was about to ask where he heard from, but pause. But the Packers defense was good this year, right? I mean, obviously they traded for Micah Parsons. So was the Packers defense good? Did the Packers make a good trade? I'm not, again, trying to be disrespectful. You just got to ask the proper questions. So we definitely maybe got to go throw on the all 22 for Jeff Hafley's defense. It is what it is. But, again, like we're saying, it is probably going to be a little bit more of a rebuild season if there is question marks at the quarterback spot and they're going with the defensive coach. Like they're not, again, I guess. And, I guess that's, if you believe in your coaching candidate at the end of the day, I guess it doesn't matter, again, where their coaching background, I guess, is necessarily in terms of sides of the football. It's like, okay, if he's going to be a culture guy, then, we'll just get the quarterback. The two things can both work, obviously. He can obviously be the quarterback guy or can have other strengths. But shout out. I don't know if we did do like a off-season hire ranking, but hey, yo, Jeff Hafley, I mean, yeah, I guess it's just me not being locked in. I probably couldn't have told you who the Packers defensive coordinator was this year. It is what it is. But so I guess, no disrespect. Shout out Jeff Halfley, IT. We'll do a take two there. Jeff had, great hire. Great hire. Packers defense. They played well. A lot of young talent. Do they overachieve? I don't know. But, the offense, it was the offense's fault this year. That's what we'll say for the Dolphins hire. But, again, for that kind of tealish color, a lot of people were also saying the Jags as well, too. Could the Jacksonville Jaguars, which, again, Trevor Lawrence, I guess, Trevor, speaking of Sam Darnold, I guess, Trevor Lawrence is up next? Is that what we're saying? Trevor Lawrence is up next. I just can't, honestly, I guess I'm AFC South biased. It is what it is. I guess we're going to be biased against the others. The AFC South, it's not like the Big Ten or the SEC. It's not like, you look at the other AFC South teams in the other games and you're like, oh, we need the Jaguars to represent the AFC South in these other matchups. So, again, I'm not thrilled about the idea of Jackson, if the logo reveal says that Jacksonville's going to be in the Super Bowl next year. That's not necessarily, again, something that would be the most exciting idea. But I don't know, and cut this out and save it for later. But I don't know if I see the Jags in the Super, just as a franchise. I don't know if the Jags as a franchise have quite fought enough playoff demons yet at this point. Maybe they do just battle it all at once, just make it to the Super Bowl. I guess just making it to the Super Bowl that first round, and then now they're set up to potentially win it or whatever. And they have been to a conference championship game in the past. They did make it there with Blake Bortles, but I feel like getting to a conference championship game with a little bit more expectation to win. I mean, that defense was really good. I guess the Patriots, they were obviously great looking back at it, but a little bit game to game, we were obviously hoping they would lose all the playoff games. So we were rooting against them, but it's not like Blake Bortles. With Jalen Ramsey would have had to gone crazy. Was Calais Campbell on the team back then? Again, there are some talented guys, but I just don't know. And Liam Cohen, again, speaking of the new head coaches, obviously did a great job. I guess that would be maybe the other argument against it as well too. Because what did we have this year? We had, of course, McDonald with the quick run, bringing his team back, but we did also. Have Vrabel as well too. So maybe it is the new trend is these quick turnarounds for these coaches, or does it happen 2 years in a row? Hey, can we have 2 years in a row where a first year and a second year, two or a third was McDonald his third year, 4 coaches within their second years have taken their teams to the Super Bowl. It does seem a little aggressive. So, again, that could be the Bears that are not in that factor, and then the Jags are the one that win it, because their defense was a little like the Patriots this year. I think the Patriots defense, regular season was a top 10 defense, but I think, of course, was peaking around the end of the year, playoff time. I mean, we all know the matchups are going to be a thing that are going to be thrown out there as well, too. And the Jags defense definitely was playing. I mean, they might have had the best defense in the league in, the end of November, December type of end of November around Thanksgiving, maybe they might have had the best defense in the league. I guess, again, Seattle, Denver as well too were going to be in that mix, but just the energy that they were playing with, and bringing in Jacoby Myers, of course, really made the offense pretty consistent. They found a little bit of balance in the run game, and we go back and double check some of the clutch performances as well too from all the guys, but I just am not quite buying it yet from Jacksonville. So again, if we just go straight up, take two. If we just go straight up teams with blue in their logo, obviously if we narrow it down with that, then that leaves the Colts on the table. That does leave the Titans. That does also leave the Patriots. If they're the team that's gonna make it back between them and Seattle. I guess that wouldn't be so surprising because, again, Drake May obviously played really well this year, almost won the MVP. So I don't know. I guess the Stafford thing now, now that I think about it as well, too, the Stafford thing did age pretty well because we were saying that JSN, maybe had the sneaky MVP case. And I guess that did age well, obviously, because Seattle won the Super Bowl. And not to say that they didn't win it because of JSN, but they, again, they obviously kind of didn't. There was a little bit of the run game and the defense, and there is obviously a version of the game where, again, JSN is awesome. But his playoff run as well, too, the teams were definitely focused on taking him out, and they were able to utilize Cooper Kupp, and Barner had a good Super Bowl as well. But, yeah, again, I don't think it would be, too crazy looking back at the season, thinking that Stafford, got that win with the Rams being as competitive as they were as well, too. So maybe the Rams are, with the SoFi Stadium, I don't know, if we're just going, again, blue, they're obviously matching. I mean, we can even stretch the yellow into the orange, I guess, for them to potentially make it in the NFC side of things as well. But the Bills, I guess the Bills, again, with Josh Allen, would have to be another team. Do the Texans count as having blue in their logo? I don't know. I feel like that's crossing over into... Is that crossing over into Navy at that point? I might be a little... I guess in some ways, maybe it's actually closer because you have like a very stark contrast here, where of course you have the teal and the waves, but the highlights are the dark blue and the Texans. Oh no, chat. Oh no. I actually see the Texans in the Super Bowl before the Jags. Ayo, I'm not saying that the Texans have been like a better franchise. It just, for some reason, and maybe something will change in the offseason. I don't know. We'll wake up in July and be like, the curse has been lifted. The Jags can make the playoffs. I don't know. The MCU will drop a property and lift the curse for the Jags in a 6-episode series or something. But the Texans, I guess, not necessarily with the way Stroud, but, I guess, that would maybe even keep them farther from the playoffs than some of the Jag stuff. But their defense, I don't know, the offensive firepower that they do have maybe is a little higher. I guess if you believe in Brian Thomas, and which we're not saying that we don't. I'm just saying that Brian Thomas would definitely be, of course, a high upside explosive playmaker, that if he was able to get back kind of, quote unquote, on track with what we were thinking for him, then maybe, their offense could scale up as well too. But yeah, I honestly, I guess, are we just walking, a long walk to say, again, we don't think the Jaguars are going to make the Super Bowl next year. So again, I don't know if it's a bold take. It's, the Jags versus the 15 teams in the field to some degree in the AFC side of things. But in early offseason, we're narrowing it down. The Jaguars are not making the Super Bowl. It's not allowed to happen. So, I'm not saying that. I guess I wouldn't necessarily say I would sacrifice the Colts making the Super Bowl, because we were good with Daniel Jones. So if Daniel Jones is back, then maybe, again, the Colts, I'm not, it is what it is. You have to consider them. I'm not saying you have to consider them a contender. We'll say you have to consider them a mid-tier contender going into the offseason. A lot of it being from the fact as well, too, that, again, we have set ourselves up to want to win. We traded our first-round pick for Sauce Gardner, but we do have Sauce Gardner. Again, the offense was able to, obviously with Daniel Jones, but, when we brought in Phillip Rivers as well, too, and then Riley Leonard after that had some good possessions. Like, the offense itself showed that there was a well-rounded nature to that. That is, again, a good unit where there is depth at the receivers. Taylor's still an explosive running back. The offensive line can really hold up. Like, it's still a really good offense. So that team has to be considered a contending team, I think, to some degree. A team that's going to try to be contending, two different things. But regardless, they're going to be approaching the offseason and the regular season with that mindset headed into the year. I don't know. For some reason, I was just glanced over at Carolina. I was like, can we stretch this Carolina blue into this teal? But that might, I was also going to say that might go right there with the Dolphins. I mean, shout out, Carolina won their division. So we can't necessarily say that would be in the same category as going into the Dolphins for next year. And it would be, again, a little disrespectful to Bryce Young to put him into the category of a team that literally doesn't have it necessarily. Well, I guess, again, we're just writing off Tua. But, I guess say what you want. We're pro Bryce Young on this podcast. So, shout out. We'll definitely hope that he's still the starter there going into the next season. I mean, he definitely still will be going into next year unless something crazy, a crazy. Sam Darnold's like, actually, I want to go back and win a Super Bowl with all the teams I played for. So Carolina's the first stop. I don't know what the scenario is that maybe they would have to make a move or a trade. The Raiders really want Bryce Young. The Raiders, I guess the Panthers, again, won their division, so their pick's not going to be great. But for some reason, if the Raiders were giving up on Mendoza, or maybe it's not, of course, even a Mendoza trade. It's like Dante. I don't think you would trade Bryce Young for Dante Moore, though. So, hey, shout out to Bryce Young. Again, you trade a bunch of first-round picks. I know that we can go through the whole life cycle of it, but Dante Moore is going to be like a top 5 pick this year, potentially looking at it in February. So at this time, again, I think you might have to do it for Mendoza. Pause. Bryce Young, I guess, didn't win the national title, so I don't know if that means anything there. But, Mendoza a little taller. Do you just have to take the taller quarterback? I don't know. Chambliss is taller as well, too. So maybe you trade for Chambliss like a second round. Bring Chambliss in the second or third and then have him compete. I don't know. Because, like Kyler Murray will be on the market. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably not going to happen if you're Carolina. It could be, Detroit as well, too. I guess, Chad, hey, if you're willing to stretch it, pause. It could be a lot of people. Hey, whoa. But, Tampa could now all of a sudden, they got the little football speck of orange here. Like, could that be the red? Is there a case that Tampa could be considered here? San Francisco does have orange in theirs as well, too. So it could be San Francisco. It honestly could be. I also glanced over at Washington. Again, we're sitting here pre-offseason, so draft hasn't happened, free agency hasn't happened. Any potential trades, of course. There's endless possibilities of what these teams could look like. We haven't gone into the off-season random simulation yet. Washington could have some type of retooling situation, and of course, just getting Jaden Daniels back healthy. I mean, there still is just a lot of good players in that team to some degree as well, too. But I am kind of liking that. San Francisco has been one of our mistress teams in the past. So I think that us being in on the idea of San Francisco being the Super Bowl team is not super crazy. But, they would have to, of course, also get super healthy. And they had a lot of injuries happen later in the season. But Fred Warner is one of those super competitive guys that's going to try to be back and healthy for the start of the year. You hope Kittle's able to get back as soon as possible as well. And Purdy did show a level again to obviously with McCaffrey there to be able to, carry a large burden for the offense, but Purdy did show an ability to, he did, I was gonna say, just play the quarterback position. It seems like it's downplaying a little bit. He would get himself into trouble every now and then with some turnovers and some interceptions. I mean, his aggressiveness is definitely, like we're saying, got him into trouble. But you have to give him credit for that aggressiveness, and they didn't necessarily have, the strongest receiving core this year, but he was still able to make that work. So if they, continue to invest in that in the offseason, then maybe their offense will take a step forward again. If McCaffrey just takes a step back as well, too. And they did lose Sal. Like, having Saleh there on the defense does have to be considered for how good they were able to play for, stretches of the year, again, considering the injuries that they had. And to what degrees that lineup is at. Like we were saying in the playoffs, they were having to run Velus Jones out on the field. With all due respect to Velus Jones, like if you're in the playoffs in the divisional round and you're having to, again, play certain guys, it's like, okay, you're probably, what are the injuries that have happened at this point? So you definitely can go through the list and see for San Francisco that they were pretty banged up. But, again, a team like Chicago, a little bit more cohesive maybe in terms of the salaries and what they're going to be running back in terms of the roster. I guess we would just have a little bit more upside for Caleb Williams in general, but that team taking a step forward would seem more realistic. I'm not saying that this was like a last year for San Francisco to try to compete, but it does seem like they are in a little bit of limbo of figuring out what the next version of the core is, or, again, just seeing how long the pause that they can stretch out this group of, this group of guys is crazy, but, how long they can get this core group for the team to be able to continue to, compete at this high level is got to be the thing. Does Atlanta have to be considered, or Minnesota? Who do we write off? The only team that I think we can actually officially write off, to be honest, just looking at the leagues, looking at the logos, again, I guess there is a little bit of silver in the Super Bowl logo. It's like the actual Super Bowl part of the Super Bowl logo, the trophy, but I don't think that actually counts. So, unfortunately, the Cowboys only have two colors. It's, that navy blue and it's silver. So we don't see navy blue anywhere. And again, the silver in this Super Bowl logo doesn't count. So the Cowboys have to be out. It is what it is. They are the first team that we have to cross off. And I want to say, I guess maybe Carolina as well too, because they do have kind of their main colors being black and that baby blue, or silver and baby blue, kind of a combo of those three. So again, we could definitely stretch the baby blue for them. And I guess if we're, is it that much crazier, the Carolina blue versus the Colts blue? But the teams, obviously, I guess the NFC, I don't know, NFC South is going to give them that divisional advantage to get that playoff spot. I guess the Saints, do we have to write the Saints off for next year? Oh, you hate to see it. You could say the gold. There's definitely, the logo leans a little bit gold here in the trim for sure. So you could definitely say that there's some Saints crossover there. But I think, unfortunately, and Tyler Shuck was looking good at Mardi Gras, throwing some of the foam footballs out into the crowd. Or what was he? T-shirts? He was throwing like T-shirts at the Mardi Gras crowd. So, he's going to be dotting guys up. He just I guess can't stop getting reps anywhere. It's like even at the Mardi Gras float, he's still practicing. So maybe that type of commitment honestly has to be considered. And, speaking of Jeff Hafley, we might have to write the Packers off. So maybe we've taken yellow off the board as well too, for the color schemes here, because that would take Minnesota, the Rams, you would take the Rams off, pause, the Chargers as well too if we were going AFC. But yeah, I don't know if we could quite make the green and yellow for the Packers work in this Super Bowl color scheme. So shout out to Jeff Hafley for, I guess, getting the job with the Jets at the right time. I think we might have to cross the Jets off, though, as well, too, if the Packers are going to make it. And they did just, of course, extend LaFleur in the offseason, but that's another one where it's like, wait, why did you do it? Like, maybe you should have just waited like 8 weeks into the regular season. Like, can't you just do that in the offseason next year? Because there is also a version where, you're hiring a new coach in the offseason next year as well, too. So, I'm not, again, making necessarily just a rational football prediction. We're trying to make sure the conspiracy applies. But I don't know if the conspiracy applies to the Packers. People were saying Philly for this teal color as well, too. I don't know if I see the teal. I see, of course, Philly as the franchise. I mean, Howie Roseman as the GM to be able to retool the team. And, we're pro Jalen Hurts as a playoff contender quarterback here in this pod. He's obviously been able to compete at every level he's been at, and he's been to 2 Super Bowls. I mean, there's obviously that conversation now for a guy like Drake May. It's like, what's his career going to look like? You can't take these opportunities for granted. Think of all the guys that have never gotten back to the game. But you got to give Jalen Hurts his credit. He was able to get back to the Super Bowl, and he was able to win. And, like I said before, has had great moments in both of those games. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like this logo is leaning toward the Eagles, to be honest. It is what it is. And same with the Lions, unfortunately. I do kind of want a hot take say that, could the Lions blue, could this just be blue for Detroit, potentially? But the Dan Campbell aggressiveness has gotten them into trouble a little bit over the last couple of years. Goff continues to, of course, wander down the timeline a little bit. And I think that they are maintaining a lot of their roster. You think a lot of their weapons, of course, have been drafted recently, especially the, Gibbs and Will. I mean, Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra is one of the best receivers in the league. I'm not even going to sit here and pretend like they don't need Amon-Ra to win the Super Bowl. But, to be a functional offense, and maybe that's not even right as well, too. Because, again, Jameson Williams really has been, to this point, like a big play guy. That's no disrespect. He could definitely be capable of being a little bit more, I think of a number one possession receiver as well, too. Kind of, little CeeDee Lamb style to his game, but he is really at this point just kind of been an explosive play and a game changer for sure, but been more of an explosive play type guy. So again, definitely need Amon-Ra that way. But you got Williams and Williams and Gibbs, on the rookie contracts, great building blocks there, and like with the whole defensive guys that they were able to draft, and just having Hutchinson as a building block, like those are definite Super Bowl pieces. But I think they may have missed their window from those 2 years there, and especially the Ben Johnson piece as well too. Like, you can't underrate their ability to get another person there. Like, are you going to be able to go 1-for-1 with your replacement to replace Ben Johnson? Like, you may have to try a couple different things. Dan Campbell may have to try calling plays and then give that back up. But you're going to, of course, continue to have opportunities to retool the staff. So they're not going to be, like we're saying with the Colts. The Colts are obviously, they're in that group of teams that is approaching the season as a contender. So if we're talking about teams that have blue in their logo, I guess the Titans do have blue in their logo, but I don't know if they're going to be approaching the season as a contending team. It is what it is, unfortunately, for the Tennessee Titans. And Ayo, that made me just glance at the Raiders. I guess the Mendoza thing could still definitely really work this year. And Clint Kubiak, shout out, got that Seahawks offense cooking. So him, Mendoza in the Sam Darnold role, like that kind of does make sense a little bit. There is a, Mendoza maybe even could be a little bit more, like if the Seahawks had Mendoza in that Super Bowl, like this version of Mendoza right now, and again, the jump into the NFL, I guess that would be crazy. Hey, he's going to go play for Vrabel, one game out of being college. They probably would maybe lose the Super Bowl at that case. I guess their defense, would Shaheed just have like a punt return touchdown or something randomly, and then, they're winning that way. But I think Mendoza could have, a version of Mendoza is better in that game than Sam Darnold was. And maybe Super Bowl MVP, I guess he wasn't necessarily like, lock it in MVP of every playoff game for Indiana. But the Raiders with the black and silver, I think are unfortunately have to be crossed off the list as well too. It is what it is. But again, supporting cast, we always like some of the Raiders, supporting. We're big Max Crosby fans here. Pause. Brock Bowers is obviously in the mix for best tight end in the league. You got G&T, hopefully can year 2, maybe invest in the offensive line. Maybe G&T can, recoup some of the draft stock player value that he's had in the past. But yeah, I think that they're another easy one. They actually, with all due respect to the Cowboys and the Raiders, either one, I guess ranking it either way is, equally the same. But the Raiders might actually be the least likely team based on this logo to make the Super Bowl, and then the Cowboys after that. So there is actually one other team that would make a difference there. And then the Jets would be the next team. And then maybe the Steelers. Like, I am having a difficult, I guess they do almost have a little bit of a gradient in their logo. I mean, you do have yellow and red both in the stars there, and blue. So maybe this is literally just the Steelers logo as well too. Hey, yo. Everybody's saying Miami, but really this is, the top here is that yellowish color. And then as you move to the middle of the logo, like you do in the Steelers, it gets darker. That's the red. Hey, yo, what are we saying? But then you have blue on the, now we're getting, now it is crazy. Blue on the bottom as well, too. So Rodgers is going to be in the Super Bowl. I don't even know if they committed to bringing Rodgers back for this offseason. Who did the Steelers even hire as their head coach? Oh, that's right. They got McCarthy. So I think they maybe did. Is that the sign they committed to Rodgers again? Oh, chat, McCarthy and Rodgers are going to lead the Steelers to the Super Bowl? Is that what this logo is saying? Okay, that might actually be a little bit of a take. I'm not going to lie. That might be a little bit of a stretch. I don't know if that one would quite happen, but it might be the second most accurate interpretation of the logo, if that makes sense. So what does that mean? The two most accurate interpretations of the logos are wrong? Hey, yo. So we're trying to read the logo, but it's obviously, it says that it's obviously the Dolphins, and we're like, no. And then it's like, well, it's obviously the Steelers, and then no. So I don't know, what else. Otherwise, the Commanders are given really strong vibes as well, too. Again, I feel like maybe they are being subtle with the gradient. The gradient could be something. Shador? Is this Shador? Is this the Browns? Oh, imagine. Again, to continue to remember who they got as their head coach. Stefanski went to Atlanta. Did we cross Atlanta off the list yet? We may have, but I don't know. Stefanski in Atlanta? That might not be bad. Not as good of a reality show as Dylan Brooks in Atlanta, unfortunately. Dylan Brooks in Atlanta. Kevin Stefanski in Atlanta, though, it's a fun little spinoff that, maybe gets a season and a half. But, the Browns, post Stefanski, Shador, and whoever his head coach is going to be. Let's see here. We might as well just pull up the hiring list from this offseason and see who it is. They retained Deuce Staley as the RB coach. Todd Monken. They got the Ravens OC. Is that who it is? Ravens in Georgia, as well as head coaching stint at Southern. Is that where he was last, or was he just with an NFL team? I thought. But Monken, hey, yo. I mean, he did win, I guess, national titles. He was there at Georgia when they won the national title, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe we have no idea the Monken timeline. It is what it is. But his offensives have been good, for sure. I don't know if they've been, again, Ayo, we're just, roasting all the hires here. It is what it is. Monken is, maybe a little higher on our power ranking than Hafley, but I don't know, him and Shador taking over that team. I don't know if Shador necessarily plays like Lamar. Lamar is one of the most athletic quarterbacks that we ever had. Shador is more of a pocket passer. Is that the simple breakdown of their games? It might be, but Monken can definitely, like we're saying, create a good. And I guess some of those Georgia quarterbacks weren't necessarily going to be running around all the time, but they were maybe a little bit better at. Stetson Bennett. I don't know. Is Stetson Bennett more mobile than Shador? That might be a crazy take. We'd have to go back and see what's going on there. So, yeah, unfortunately, Cleveland fans, we might have to write Cleveland fans off. And I think I'm going to write Cincinnati off as well, too. I mean, I hate to do it, in February before we hit the offseason, just because you have Joe Burrow on the team and you're able to make one crazy swing. And it's like, wait a second, Joe Burrow, and now they've added this guy. And all of a sudden, like if they trade T. Higgins for a pass rusher or something, or end up trading not Hutchinson, Hendrickson. I guess he might be a free agent. But if they are able to flip an asset like that into a piece that is going to make them better, then again, because you have a quarterback like Burrow, you have to be in the mix every year for the Super Bowl contention. But the way it's trending, obviously we could cite the quotes about his future in the NFL and how long does he want to continue playing football for and all this different stuff. I don't know if Joe Burrow would retire before he would try another team. Like, that's the part. Like, Andrew Luck was done playing football. I guess he was done playing for the Colts, but he was also done playing football. Like, Joe Burrow might just be done playing for the Bengals. Like, is Joe Burrow done playing football? Like, that part seems a little crazy, but, Calvin Johnson was done playing football. Barry Sanders, all the Lions guys were done playing football at one point. Obviously, you go back in the day. I guess, like, Jim Brown left to pursue acting, though. And I guess we could probably, be a little bit more informed on all the stories going on there, but it's not like, again, he was just, and they were good when Brown, like, that was the best time of the, Cleveland's football legacy. And obviously, you have Jim Brown, but, off the Otto Graham years as well, too. So it's not like he wasn't in, it's not like Jim Brown wasn't in winning situations like, Calvin Johnson or Barry Sanders, where he's like, okay, now it's time to go. Like, again, it was just a career pivot that he was making. He was going to be he's making the move in, like we're saying, into the world of acting. So for Burrow, I don't know. I would assume that he would try a different team. I would assume that he would request a trade, or obviously, the free agency thing next time, whenever that happens a couple years down the road, like he would just sign with a new team, because why not? Why not at least try to, and it's Burrow. Like, Burrow could, in a sense, almost have his pick, in a way, of teams if he wants to request a trade. If he's in the market, like, teams are going to be outside of the injury history or whatever. But if you're set at offensive line and you need a quarterback, you're probably going to be in the market bidding for Joe Burrow. It is what it is. So he's not gonna, he's gonna have a landing spot if he wants to leave Cincinnati. It's not like, well, this is the team that he's with, so he better just stick with it for now. But yeah, I don't know if he would just straight. But again, maybe there's just a guy every decade or so that does do that. In every decade that does do that. So 2026, I guess if we need one for the 20. Well, I guess Andrew Luck was 18 or 19. Actually, yeah, he might have been 18. So, but the 2020s it's gonna be Joe Burrow. I guess he's the lead candidate right now. But yeah, I would assume Joe Burrow traded to Tampa or something. Hey, he takes the Brady route. Like, just try the Brady route first. Go to Tampa, and then you can retire in Florida. After, you can go to Tampa and then go be a part owner from the Raiders after they kick Brady out. I mean, Joe Burrow in a lot of ways could be the new Tom Brady. I mean, I'm sure that comparison has been made before, but they're both good-looking guys for sure. The Netflix roast of Joe Burrow in like 10 years. I mean, that could be pretty fun. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Super Bowl definitely is giving Bengals to some degree, but I'm not seeing it. To me, it's not seeing the Bengals. I guess the AFC team being the top team and the Broncos being orange, that honestly is the strongest inclination I'm having right now. And AO. Again, I don't want to just seem straight up biased. Broncos, Eagles? Did we pick that going into... No, we picked what? Broncos, Bears, Broncos... No, did we pick Broncos? I don't think we picked the Seahawks. We picked 7 teams to make the Super Bowl when the playoffs started, and I don't think one of them was the Seahawks. But what do we pick? Bears, Broncos, and Bills. Who do we pick the Bills to play? Ayo, I forget. But Bills, Rams. Oh, you picked the Rams? Maybe it was one of them. But Eagles, Broncos. And I know we already are, contradicting ourselves when we say we don't see the Eagles making it again, but that matchup does sound like a legit Super Bowl. Again, Jags, Bears, I guess, Seahawks, Patriots, Drake May versus Sam Darnold in the landscape of, again, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, all of these guys not being in the playoff run. And, all of a sudden it's just narrowed down to like, hey, all of a sudden we're left with, in some degree, and then, again, the Seahawks emerging, but it's like, hey, we're left with Sam Darnold and Drake May. But the Patriots and the Seahawks still sounds like 2 teams that could be in the Super Bowl. Like, again, who's a team like the Patriots were that's, rebuilding this year that didn't have, super crazy. I guess, like the Ravens obviously have been good. They were just injured up as well, too. I guess the AFC doesn't really have that type of team at this point. I guess Kansas City would be the team, but, again, it wouldn't be them necessarily drafting a new quarterback. I don't think. Hey, yo. Though imagine they're just like, well, actually somebody offered us 10 first-round picks for Mahomes, so we traded Mahomes. I mean, imagine, chat. Hey, yo. I hate to even think about it. I hate to stir the pot. I hate to get controversial, but, I mean, if somebody stepped up and made the offer, if you're the Jets, like, why not? Just see if you can get Mahomes for, like, 4 first-round picks at that point. I think you could. I kind of think you could. I mean, I'm not saying that the Chiefs would trade Pat Mahomes. I'm just saying that. How many did Russell Wilson get? If you got 2 more than Russell Wilson, if you got a first and a second plus, so I guess it would be the other way around. Russell, what you gave up for Russell Wilson plus the extra first and a second, I kind of think that's all it would take, to be honest. The Broncos did just straight up overpay for Russ. And you would be getting some players back in the mix as well, too. I mean, imagine if the Ravens just, like, traded Lamar for Mahomes. Hey, yo. Whoa. I didn't even think about that until right now. And you would never have done that in the past because, Mahomes is just winning too much. And obviously, you're not going to give that up. And Lamar's just too dynamic. You're not going to give that up. Now Lamar's lost a step and Mahomes lost too many games. So the trade makes sense. The trade might make sense. I don't think, of course, you would do Mahomes for Herbert. You're not doing Mahomes for Herbert. Herbert's not sure that much of the plays. And maybe, of course, you would say that Lamar would have some of those same arguments there. And, Josh Allen is definitely, of course, another name that, like we're saying, on the trade value is going to be there. I guess the younger guys as well, too. Would you entertain? I don't think you would, though. I don't even have to really ask. For me personally, no, you don't have to entertain Pat Mahomes for Caleb Williams. I get Caleb Williams is good. And honestly, after the Super Bowl as well, too, once again, Pat Mahomes, the biggest winner of the whole playoffs run. I think you're not trading him for Drake May. There's not a guy in the league. I guess Stafford is maybe at this point just one game. If you have to make an argument for a quarterback in one game, could you say Stafford over Mahomes? You're not trading Burrow for a season over Mahomes at this point. Again, maybe you can make a game argument. I don't know. I doubt you can make a playoff run argument for picking him as the better quarterback there. But yeah, I would say it would be, if we had to start forming a bit of a power ranking for, again, this is not off-season going into next season power rankings. This is not who are the best teams right now, because, that itself is going to change a lot as well, too. But this is based on this logo. What is this conspiracy saying? And based on this conspiracy, the conspiracy of this logo, what is the most likely to happen based off of that? So the Broncos do, and I think that Venn diagram maybe is a little bit important. I think again, it's not where we're ranking, but to help form our opinion, we'll make a little Venn diagram there. Off-season power ranking and logo conspiracy, and like unresolved season. And you do, of course, have the fact that you have the injury with your quarterback as well. But with the way that, again, the Super Bowl is a little close, you just or look at this season a little longingly. And if you're running back a lot of these pieces, shout out Luke Longley, but you're looking at this season a little like Luke Longley. I don't know, but you're looking at this last season, definitely thinking that you could be hosting the Lombardi to some degree. And I mean, with all due respect to Sam Darnold, he's been the best quarterback in the league the last couple of years in the regular season. He wasn't necessarily like thrilling in the Super Bowl, so there's not necessarily, I think, that just instant fear that you have of thinking about playing Sam Darnold in the Seahawks if you're Bo Nix and the Broncos as well too. Again, there's a definite respect there that's been earned, and definitely take them seriously because they're the defending champions. But for the version of this power ranking, I think Denver has to be number 1. I guess we have to put San Francisco number 2, because if I put Washington number 2, then that's a little too high. That's probably a little too high for this list because, again, they're just a little too uncertain at this point. And San Francisco may be in some ways as well, too. But because Shanahan's going to be there, there's a regular season win total that they could get to. Passing yards, their quarterbacks are going to hit a certain amount of passing yards. So we could definitely rely on him there. So San Francisco number 2. Again, and maybe the Bears would actually be number 3. And as I was going to say, the teal is definitely going to be the more difficult one to figure out. I mean, we could throw out all the orange teams as options. And again, those are actually just 3 good options kind of in general. Like, I guess we'll say 3 decent options going into the offseason. Broncos, San Francisco, and the Bears. I mean, there is a definite case that, again, the San Francisco is just needing to head in a different direction at some point as a franchise, and the Broncos just, I don't know, had a fluke season in the fourth quarters last year, and they're not as legit. But that would be more like a 1 seed regular season sort of ordeal, I think, than, more so them being, continued contending playoff team. But Broncos, 49ers, Bears, or Broncos, Bears, 49ers? Bears and 49ers in the same tier after the Broncos? Maybe that's the answer. And then the Eagles, Niners, Bears, Eagles. So so it's the AFC versus the NFC. So the Broncos would be the number 1 option if this is Orange is an AFC team. Otherwise, we have San Francisco if it's a NFC team. Teal is the number 1 Eagles option. And then, Bears tied for that number 1 orange option there as well, too, as the NFC candidate. And like we said, blue AFC teams, Bills, Dolphins, Colts, and Titans. And the Patriots, I guess, if they're running it back. I don't know if we can quite... Because, I mean, that red was, actually red. So, again, I think they're a little consistent, even if they're hiding it in there to some degree. And again, I think that just wipes off the Colts and the Titans as well, too. So, I kind of think it might be the Broncos and the Eagles, honestly, looking at this here. Or the Bears and the Colts. That's definitely what it is. Billy Buckets versus the Rem and Sam Pod on the Super Bowl 2027, battling it out on Valentine's Day. And maybe we say this before we go to break about the Super Bowl being on Valentine's Day next year as well, too, because, of course, this has already started to stir online as the date has been set for the 14th of February in 2027. And, of course, the conversation is what is going to be the decisions made, how controversial is this going to get, what are the conversations that just has to be had. But I don't even think that this is that much of a conversation. I think this is like an easy decision. I think you've got a Super Bowl party to go to on Sunday, and I think if you're going out for Valentine's in those weeks, on that week of the Super Bowl, I think you're going out on Saturday. You're going out on Friday. It is what it is. The Super Bowl takes priority. You got to hit that Super Bowl party. If you can't make it, push it to Monday. Push the Valentine's dinner to Monday. You'll be okay. It's literally just, hey, a little dinner and a movie. Hey, it is what it is. Like, I don't, I'm sure that the ones that are going all out are going all out either way. Otherwise, I think most people are going to be thrilled to have an excuse to attend a party on Valentine's Day. That's really and maybe we need the cultural shift, to be honest. Maybe we need the cultural shift to more, it's for it being a little bit more of a social event. Like, I think it's great to have, a holiday that's narrowed down to you can only spend it with one other person. I think that's great. I think that's a lot of fun. But, I think it's great to limit your offense so you just run the same play over and over again. Obviously that's worked time and time again in the history of sports. But for I think for making this, for making this choice, I think it has to be an easy one. I think it's the Super Bowl party. And it's not like every year. It's not like, oh, well, the Super Bowl is just decided to be on Valentine's Day every year. It's just the product of the calendar. If you're lucky enough to make it around the sun a couple times, like you may hit a couple Super Bowl Valentine's Day crossovers in there. But again, and are we saying that you're going to be playing a pickup game on the Super Bowl Valentine's Day and then hit somebody with a crossover? That sounds like a lot of fun. But maybe there needs to be an element of a Valentine's Day rebrand. Some Valentine's Day parties. Hey, I don't know. But, again, maybe we just need to be better at planning, like, an entire night as well, too. I mean, hey, whoa. But, it is what it is. But, shout out. Let us know. REMINGTOM on Instagram. DM us. Let us know what the choice is. But we've already started to do some research. It is what it is. What does that mean? It just means we've asked questions. It just means it's come up in conversation already. Hey, have you seen the Super Bowl is going to be on? Yeah, it's like, hey, what you know what you're doing? You're going to Super Bowl party. You're watching the Super Bowl. You know why you watch Super Bowl every year? And you know what you look. I guess even this year, this year was probably about as like bland as looking forward to a Super Bowl as you could be. And it's like, hey, you know what's still fun and still okay? You know what's still right up there in our books, chat? The Super Bowl. It's still just, I mean, it's been proven in the numbers at this point, in the stats, that it is the number one American day. Did we say it's the number one American day of the year? Ooh, that's an interesting ranking American days. But I mean, hey, you phrase it that way. It's like the Super Bowl is number one. Is there like is there like a national apple pie day? Pause. Like, that might be an obvious number two. But, maybe there's some other obvious ones if, get controversial. But, the Super Bowl might be a nice, just easy number one. It is what it is. But I guess speaking of the Super Bowl as well, too, I guess as we have been this whole time, we will take a quick break. And then when we return, we've got to figure out who is going to be in the Super Bowl. I mean, we're just figuring out the whole Super Bowl. But you don't even have to watch the season next year, to be honest. You don't even have to watch the season. We're going to have the Super Bowl matchups picked out. I mean, it's going to be Broncos, Eagles, like we said. And we're going to be picking out the halftime performance as well, too. We're going to have it narrowed down. You can check the tapes, like we said. I don't want to say we made the call officially. I don't want to say that they were asking us. I'm just saying that, we said it might be Bad Bunny, and it was Bad Bunny. So, I'm just saying you might want to stay tuned when we get back, because we are going to see if we can figure it out. 2 for 2. Can we go 2 for 2? Or maybe we just guess Playboy Cardi again. I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned. All right, here we are. It is time to see if we can once again correctly predict who is going to be performing at Super Bowl 61 2027. SoFi. Who's going to be headlining SoFi Stadium at the Super Bowl halftime? It is, and I got to be honest. Again, I'm not taking a lot of credit for guessing Bad Bunny because it was a pretty okay, there we are. Hey, yo. We're just turning into ASAP Rocky. We're testing. But, okay, wait, the microphone is back on, ready to go. But, yeah, like we said, when we kind of were looking at the artists that hadn't done it yet, and then you also have to consider the artists that haven't turned it down yet as well, too. So, Ayo, you do, of course, have your obvious names that you could throw out there right away. You know, Ayo, you're thinking Taylor Swift's going to do the Super Bowl. You know, there's like obvious contract. Well, I'm not obvious, but there have been apparent contract disputes about the rights, about the, I guess, how that would, I guess just the rights of that performance and how that would live on. And I guess until those were compromised in a real way, sides wouldn't necessarily be able to work that out. Another name as well, too, that I know we've looked up in the past, doing the research last year, it was like one of the first names that I just thought of thinking like, hey, yo, has this person ever been asked? Like, I was looking through the history, this person hasn't performed as the solo headliner. I double check and see if they've made an appearance here as a guest. But Adele is like another obvious top person that you've got to have in the rotation to have do the Super Bowl at some point. But I know Adele has also turned it down as well, too. So, yeah, I'm not seeing the name appear here as a guest performer. I'm not remembering it, but hey, I'm not always the best remembering like all the Super Bowl halftimes as well too. But yeah, in the 2010s, it doesn't look like it happened. Yeah, not the aughts as well. So again, it's like, the star power there and the legacy that she's been able to accumulate, the international draw as well too that she has. Back-to-back international artists, Bad Bunny and Adele. Like, you could definitely go that direction. But again, she has turned that down. So I'm not necessarily remembering the specifics of why that would be. But if that's just the end of that working relationship, then again, that is just a name that you have to cross off the list in that regards. And I think there is, of course, that recency bias in the performances as well, too. I mean, or the duplication factor of it where, again, the Super Bowl is not necessarily a club. Like, not to say that there isn't an artist that couldn't get to the level that they could perform. Like, speaking of Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift has had the type of career where she could have had a headlining performance in, maybe like a 2014. I guess maybe that might have been a little early because that would have been right after the country. I don't know. Like, obviously like MJ could have done multiple Super Bowls as well too. I guess, hey, name a guy, but or name an artist, but for the most part, there is that one headliner type of factor up until this point, and there hasn't been a ton of I guess maybe now there is starting to be a little bit more of repeats, but up until recently, again, there hadn't necessarily been a ton of, if you were a guest, are you gonna, and maybe it's just the career lineups of that stuff as well too. But like I'm saying, Bad Bunny was on as a guest before. Was that 3 years ago here? Where was that? 19. And Kendrick as well too, of course, appeared in this 2022 halftime. I guess they have him listed as a headliner, and they have 50 Cent and Anderson .Paak as the guests here. So shout out. But I guess if we really had to say it, it would have been Snoop and Dre headlining, and then shout out M, shout out Mary J, shout out Kendrick, shout out 50, shout out Pac, but Anderson. But they would have been the guests for Snoop and Dre's performance there. The Weeknd, the only guy that could go. So The Weeknd's another one. Like The Weeknd could definitely do multiple performances. And yeah, I guess Bad Bunny 2020 with Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. Bad Bunny made an appearance there. Beyonce has, I believe, made multiple appearances at the Super Bowl, and I guess Gaga now has as well too. I was gonna say the reason that Gaga couldn't headline in the future here was, I guess I was gonna say it in the future, but also why she couldn't headline like this upcoming year is because she guested this past year as well too. But I guess would she be like a 3-time Super Bowl appearance? Would they go headlining less? I guess 10 years. In 10 years she's gonna headline the Super Bowl twice and also perform there. Not to say that she doesn't have, again, she's clearly one of the biggest pop stars of the last 15, 20 years, but that's a different level of history that you're starting to wander into at that point. I don't know if they're necessarily concerned about that type of stuff. I guess Timberlake has done too, because he did 18 pause. Hey, Timberlake, I guess probably not the first time he's done too, but he 18, and then what year was that, Chet? Oh yeah, 04. I had to double check. I couldn't remember off the top of my head what year the Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake Super Bowl was. Obviously, it's not like that's the first Super Bowl we think of, first Super Bowl halftime. So, Timberlake, I guess, yeah. I guess, do we think of that as Justin Timberlake's Super Bowl as well too? I don't know. But, or, the Justin Timberlake Super Bowl halftime, I guess the whole game. It just, the whole night. I guess it just belongs to Janet Jackson. It is what it is. Who played in the 04 Super Bowl? Was this one of the Brady Super Bowls? Who was it? It doesn't even have the teams listed here. It doesn't even matter who was in this game. Patriots. Was this? Oh, Patriots, Panthers. Yeah, Brady Delhomme. Yes, good. Janet Jackson. Hey, easily the MVP of the night. Easily. Shout out. You know what we don't remember from this Super Bowl chat? The game. It is what it is. Shout out. And, the other Super Bowls, obviously, around this time that they won as well, too. You have the Tuck rule, I guess, earlier in the playoffs, but you have the Vinatieri. I guess Vinatieri had a kind of a game winning-ish kick in this one. I guess, kind of obviously clutch kicks in all the Super Bowls, but had that game-winning kick. Brady had that drive in that Patriots-Rams Super Bowl, and then that Patriots-Eagles Super Bowl, of course, was, I think, a little bit of a better game as well, too. I guess you had, like, Owens in that one, maybe some just more high-profile players. And I guess, shout out to Steve Smith, speaking of high-profile receivers, for the Panthers there in that Super Bowl run as well. But, I think the Eagles-Pats Super Bowl, the first one, Andy Reid, McNabb, Terrell Owens, is maybe a little bit more, obviously of the three, that Panthers one is the least remembered. It is what it is there. But, Gaga would obviously be a major contender for sure. Again, if with star power, if she hadn't headlined in the past. But I think sticking, and obviously that rule worked out well for us in the past. We went 1 for 1 with it so far. But if we were going to stick to it just for making positive, just for making a good guess, I think that we would, again, have to respectfully, say that Lady Gaga would not be in guessing contention for tonight. It is what it is there. But another one that, again, not in guessing contention, but I do wonder if he is starting to get back to, or not starting to get back to, but if he is, if like headlining eligibility could be starting to wear off again, he's dropping an album again this year. So there could be that hype of next year, if his album is just like super, super crazy. Bruno Mars at the Super Bowl again, I think he is a real two headliner Super Bowl possibility. Obviously, him and The Weeknd kind of battle for that top streaming spot. You know, kind of consistently sitting at the 100 million mark there on Spotify now for monthly listeners. So would it again just make total sense for his star power to be able to do that? I guess the only other factor, well, I guess he did this in 2014. So he didn't even have 2014 or 2014. What, Bruno Mars 2014 Forest Hills Drive? 24 Karat Forest Hills Drive? What's the name of that album? Hey yo, he didn't even have 24 Karat Magic out yet. So he could, of course, and you know, speaking of Anderson .Paak goes into multiple Super Bowl performances, but I guess we could just look up Bruno Mars' discography on this page, on the Bruno Mars page. But yeah, I guess Doo-Wops and Hooligans and then Unorthodox Jukebox would have been the two albums at that point. So the Romantic is the one that will be dropping this year. But I mean, I was gonna say, does he have enough, you know, quote unquote, enough discography? Obviously, he's a big hit maker, so you know, a limited discography run could still, you know, be enough to headline a Super Bowl set. But I mean, that the hit power of that album, obviously, to be able to do, like, you know, I guess Versace on the Floor at the Super Bowl, is that the first one? But you know, 24 Karat Magic, I guess the headline track, and then what's the that's what I like. You know, Ayo Cardi as well too, not Playboy B. Ayo Cardi B making a second Super Bowl halftime appearance in a row, two years in a row. Imagine at the Bad Bunny, but then actually gets to perform as well too at this one. Could be the move. So again, I'm not predicting it necessarily, and I don't think it would be. Well, the thing is, I guess it might have to be this upcoming year would be the weird, not have to be, but you know, he is going to have that new album. So the fact that there would be that instant hype generated around it would be definitely something to keep an eye out. He's in keep an eye out territory. I don't know. Does Polymarket have odds? I didn't even think to check, but shout out Missy Elliott as well too, the 2-time Super Bowl club, which was her name listed in the 04. I might have just made that up. Oh, Chad, I just made that up. It is what it is. I was just hoping that it happened, I guess. Shout out Missy Elliott. I guess Missy Elliott headlining the Super Bowl. Hey, yo, that would be crazy, Chad. I mean, she definitely has the hits. Get your freak on at the Super Bowl would be crazy. Shout out. Super Duper Fly, you know, it'd be some real, I mean, speaking of paying homage to real hip hop, I mean, that would be about as real as you could get right there. It is what it is. I mean, we mentioned Beyonce in the past as well, too, to headline again. I don't know if that would happen. And I would say, if we didn't say already, The Weeknd, you know, a decade from now, 15 years from now, maybe 7, who knows. But I would say that he would eventually go back into the two-time, two-time. Though there's no way The Weeknd's not in the two-timers club. It is what it is. If we know anything about The Weeknd, he's definitely going to be in the two-timers club, according to the lyrics of his song. So, shout out. I guess, you know, could Eminem headline by himself? 50 could definitely headline by himself as well, too. But Eminem could. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of projecting here, saying that because again, Eminem is also one of like the 15 most streamed artists on Spotify. So there is clearly like, you know, the fans I think would be fine with an Eminem Super Bowl halftime performance. But again, not to say that we already got that, but I don't know. It just seems like that performance itself is enough. So not to say that Eminem couldn't have his own, I guess say not enough, but that performance itself is one of the best Super Bowl halftime shows. So for him to be a part of that, like, is he going to himself craft a better show that would be a part of that? You know, I guess the argument would be we literally saw Kendrick do it. Kendrick, of course, was a part of this and then, you know, topped it by having arguably the best Super Bowl halftime show of all time still. I guess, like we're saying, this one might be the most fun to watch. I think Kendrick's is, you know, obviously pound for pound, just the best halftime show. It is what it is. They're probably not even close. I guess not even close is crazy, but, you know, it's a great show. But, yeah, I don't know if he could necessarily have a better show. And obviously Kendrick is able to, obviously, you know, Eminem's had an attention to detail throughout the course of his career, but from an actual, again, show standpoint, like I don't know if Eminem's tours have been, and I haven't really seen, like, now that I think about it, like a clip of Eminem like on a tour, like what his setup would be. But Kendrick's obviously like the morale tour and what he's done in the past. I mean, his performance, I mean, think of like his performance just doing one song at the Grammys when he performed. I don't even, what song? Obviously, he had that iconic performance. I don't remember which one it was now that he performed. But, I mean, the way he was able to, again, pack so much storytelling into that one, you know, it's not a skit. It's also not really a music video, but that one scene of a song. And then, you know, he was obviously able to multiply that into a Super Bowl halftime set. You know, I don't know if M is able to necessarily able to do that per se. But, you know, again, he would obviously have the hits to be able to accomplish it. Rihanna, would ASAP Rocky be at the level to do a Super Bowl halftime? I think he's close. He's close. I think maybe if he had dropped another album in the past 8 years, and had not to say that, hey, we needed, you know, I'm not trying to like criticize him there, but I'm just saying maybe he needed to be around a little bit more musically, because I mean Rihanna obviously wasn't dropping albums when she was doing the halftime in 2023, but her albums, again, she streams in the top 10 of all time. So on Spotify, like with what she's already done, so her music alone, with all due respect to Rocky, I mean his music does have a staying power, but it's like Rihanna's music has a staying power that is, you know, like unmatched by anybody ever. Like nobody has not dropped an album in 10 years. I guess Bruno Mars is, you know, I guess but he had the collaborative album with Anderson .Paak there. So, you know, again, she's obviously, like we're saying, just a different level of star power. That makes sense. But yeah, shout out ASAP Rocky. I was like taking a glance at Future, being like, how close is Future to doing a Super Bowl? Like, I know that might seem crazy, because I think maybe Future, you know, I don't know what would be. Well, I think Future is like not weirdly likable, but with as toxic as Future's lyrics can be, like everybody likes Future. Like not everybody that listens to rap likes Future, but like he's one of those. Like you would think that you'd play him in front of like, you know, oh, your mom, and all of a sudden it's like somehow your mom's just gonna like, who's this like attractive young man named Future? Like it's like you haven't even seen him yet, but it's like, oh, I don't know, just something about the way he raps. It's like how does it work? But you know, again, Future's just, I think Future would somehow be able to captivate the crowd, but I don't know if he is quite there yet. But he has, you know, again, the commercial successes continue to be there throughout the course of his career. But I mean, with the last couple of projects, he's been able to start to get into that Grammy talk as well too, and get that critical acclaim for his project. I mean, you know, again, he was getting like the good Pitchfork reviews, and the community was obviously regarding his projects in the past, but to now again cross over into the hardware side of things, and start to accumulate some nominations and some awards there, is again maybe starting to move his career into a little bit of a different direction. But I think he is maybe again a couple of steps away from getting there. Maybe a couple of like a hit, not to say that he needs a hit record in his own right, but maybe if he had sort of his own Hotline Bling, like again, he does have, you know, like some features that he's been on, but other people featured on his tracks that maybe have boosted some of his own. I'm thinking like Wait For You, like what's his most streamed song, and obviously that's got that Drake feature there as well too. But he's getting close. Like Tyler might be another one. Like Tyler, you know, we've talked about Tyler being close to doing a stadium tour in the past. So if you can clearly just on your own capacity sell out a stadium, like if you don't need an NFL game to get you a stadium level crowd, you could probably perform at an NFL game. But again, I guess he's technically not quite there yet, but he is, again, really, really close. So Tyler is clearly, I'm not saying that Tyler's not on Super Bowl watch list. Tyler is on the Rem and Sam Super Bowl watch list for sure. I guess if the Rem and Sam pod was, you know, if the Rem and Sam team was responsible for picking the Super Bowl, I mean, we might have a conversation about Tyler. It might get close, but I don't know if he's going to quite, you know, is Rock Nation going to pick Tyler? I don't know. We'll have to see. Alicia Keys, if she didn't have the, I guess, you know, we're pro Alicia Keys. So what voice crack are you talking about the Super Bowl? We didn't hear it. I don't know what you're talking about. So I say run it back. And if she has a voice crack again, who cares? I want to hear the songs. Bring Usher back out for My Boo again as well too. But Alicia Keys could obviously perform the Super Bowl in her own right as well too. That would be like kind of a fun ballady Super Bowl as well. and I guess you could get into some of the feature stuff as well too. Again, she's obviously been on some iconic hooks. You're probably, I guess, is Jay-Z just booking that so he can, now perform Empire State of Mind at the Super Bowl as well too? He's like, well, I guess you have to. It's one of the biggest songs of your career. But hey, I guess we tread lightly. You're saying Jay-Z uses that kind of language, but again, she is the hit maker, legacy artist at this point that hasn't headlined yet that could do it. And I would say that. I was gonna say one, but I guess at this point now two, of course, Super Bowls removed from a guest appearance is starting to, the eligibility is there. The eligibility is there. You have to redshirt. If you perform as a guest, I guess that's probably the best way to say it. You have to redshirt. I don't know if it's a 2 or 3. It might be a 3-year redshirt. I guess we'll have to see what the precedent is in the past. Like we said, Gaga, it's been a decade. Oh, Bad Bunny was 4 Super Bowl. So yeah, wait a second. He performed in 2020. Then The Weeknd 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 performances before he was back. So 5 is the red shirt. So she still needs 2 more Super Bowls. And then yeah, Timberlake of course was 10 plus years. Gaga 10 plus years. I guess Bruno Mars was 2. Okay. So Bruno Mars 1. Bruno Mars headlined in 2014, and then Katy Perry performed in 15, and then Bruno Mars was brought out as a guest at the Coldplay halftime. Hey, which, for them, thank goodness that they brought out, what we remember about the Coldplay halftime? They brought out Beyonce and Bruno Mars. Shout out to them. But, and I guess shout out to Coldplay as well, too. But I guess Coldplay would be another kind of, and I guess it was maybe, we have to go back and check that out, kind of a ballady halftime. What did they perform here? I guess Uptown Funk. I guess Mark Ronson. So Mark Ronson, Bruno Mars, and Beyonce and Uptown Funk. They need to get that on Spotify and Formation. I guess we just go back and listen to that collab, that mashup right there. But yeah, you go an acapella. Oh man, chat. Hey I think Alicia. I guess Chris Martin's good on the vocals. So he's right there with Alicia Keys. Shout out. With all due respect to everybody involved. Again, he's not saying that he's. If Alicia Keys is 99%, I guess, does she have to be a 98 on the vocal Madden rating now because she had a voice crack on the Super Bowl? I don't know. But Chris Martin is like a 94 on the. Are we getting Remin Sampod Madden vocal ratings? Who are we to rate these guys? I don't know. But in our minds, I guess Chris Martin, shout out, a 94 on the Remin Sam Madden vocal ratings. But an acapella yellow intro. Oh man, that's a real soul. Into Vida La Vida, into Paradise. There's a little bit of energy there. Into Adventure of a Lifetime. How does that one? I know how that one goes because that one plays at work, or it has in the past, or at jobs we've had in the past. But I can't think of the beat right now. I can't think of the beat. I mean, Yellow, Vida La Vida, and Paradise. I mean, these are hits. These were just on the radio. You just turn on the radio when these songs dropped, and it's just these songs were playing. It is what it is. But and then contains elements of You Can't Touch This. Shout out. Clocks. A Clocks instrumental. Fix You. Up and Up. Midnight. Hey, So Fix You. I think Fix You is an iconic movie song as well, too. Maybe Yellow is as well. But Coldplay, I guess they're out there making deals to get their songs in movies. But that is, you're going to need the Uptown Funk in there to pause to break up this set. This is, again, Coldplay shout out definitely has the fan base to perform at the Super Bowl halftime, but it's still a stadium game. So I think if you're there for a Coldplay concert, again, that makes total sense. You're there for that vibe. Everybody in the stands is committed to that. And I guess could you sell out for that for, again, like a 13-minute set? I'm sure it's fine. But just to once again highlight these Coldplay songs, Yellow, Vida La Vida, Paradise, and then Fix You is, a very soft 4-song run. Pause. So shout out. I guess not to just to wreck Coldplay there as we're scrolling through, but it is what it is. Coldplay, we don't want to see them. It seems like they haven't been in contention. Okay, we're glad they got the Super Bowl. Shout out. But the Black Eyed Peas back again. Will.i.am making another appearance. So yeah, again, Beyonce headlined in 13, and then appeared in 16. So there was a 2. So Bruno Mars says that it's fine. Alicia Keys can't headline the Super Bowl. So I don't know if she's going to be our number one right now, just again, because she's already performed, but it has to be in consideration. And because of that as well too, I think SZA has to be back as a strong contender again. She did what did we have from the SZA discography being played? We had her on All the Stars, and we had her on Luther, but hey, yo, shout out Luther Vandross. But yeah, we did not actually get anything from the actual SZA discography. So you could even bring Kendrick back out for 30 for 30 as well too. I don't know if you're bringing Kendrick back out for like Babylon, Doves in the Wind, maybe Doves in the Wind, or I guess Gloria. Maybe you do Glory. I guess that's more of like a Kendrick ode to DNA or DNA. I'm just reading the track list here to hip hop, but still, I guess they're both on that one. But pause. But yeah, you could definitely obviously have SZA might. Hey, yo, SZA might honestly be number one if this is the rules now. And again, I think that is another set where I actually want to see what her set would look like creatively. I guess with all due respect to Eminem, hey yo, I would, it is what it is. But I think what that team would be able to do in terms of a show would be a little bit more interesting. So I think she is definitely a top 5 contender for Super Bowl headlines next year. Again, I think Gaga, I guess, she already headlined as well too. As I was thinking about it, and we have had a great run of course, R&B and hip hop here being represented. Ayo, some of them have been presented, but mostly, just great performances throughout the last handful of Super Bowl halftimes. And like we're saying, there is definitely artists that are obviously capable. Like, if we were just drafting artists that, this would be an interesting list as well. So I didn't even think about this till right now, but like artists that, with all due respect, you wouldn't say maybe would be doing this. Like I guess a guy like Leon Thomas, like this might, and maybe just, this would just be an extension, like we're saying, of Super Bowl watch list, because he would definitely be one that I think his show, his music can go, he can have a very, again, fun vibe with his R&B, but then, his vocals and his singing as well too. He can mix in a cut that can give like an emotional kind of mix to the, pause to the performance there as well. I don't want to say Leon Thomas would have a better show than Usher, because now we're talking about, one of the great artists of all time. And we still, for Usher to have that, to have those songs at the Super Bowl is crazy. I mean, Usher had a great show. What am I saying? We have Leon Thomas stock. It is what it is. Shout out. He's, the career is definitely, only starting out for the better here. And of course, Grammys, all that stuff already taken notice. But yeah, it is interesting to see who is on the level of these artists that have just performed the Super Bowl that would, again, be up for performing again. I guess, again, in terms of just who has the fan base, obviously Drake is another one that, his name would just have to be mentioned, who has the, the ability to be able to perform at that level. But I don't know. I think it would have been, it would have been fun. Maybe again, him and Kendrick, I don't know, back-to-back Super Bowls. It would have been fun maybe in the moment just to have, again, any of those guys performing and speaking about it, for a certain degree there. But at this point, and we got a Kendrick show that was so high level. So if we do get a Drake show that's so high level, like, it's obviously, it would change my opinion. But Drake as well too. And I know Drake's guy Academics has even said this about his own act, but we tread lightly because, again, we're talking about, one of the most popular artists here, but he's obviously not an arena act. But I think what Academics is, we'll blame it on Academics here because, again, he has the Drake ties in the past. But, he has a show that maybe is a little bit more inclined for an arena setting versus a stadium setting. And not to say that, again, he doesn't, like, if he just really is focusing on his 1 billion plus streamed hits, and then, I don't know, maybe he's like, I just have to do Family Matters in this, like, the last track of Family Matters in Super Bowl as well too. He's like, if he does not like us, I'm doing Heart Part 6 in the Super Bowl. It is what it is. But again, I actually think that, like I'm saying, like Eminem a little bit. Hey, yo, Drake and now we tread lightly if we put Drake and Eminem in the same category, but for multiple reasons. But they're, again, what they would actually craft as a show at this point. Not to say that I wouldn't want to see it. I'm just saying I don't know if I would put it in the tier 1 as well too. Though again, regardless, those guys would obviously have the insane hits that would get there. And I mean, in terms of crafting a show, we know the other name that who's a artist, a hip hop artist that would craft a great visual stadium show. I mean, we all know, we can all think, I'm not going to say what artist would craft a great stadium show that we've canceled and, is proven himself to be, what do you say, like an entertainment visionary. But I don't know if he's capable of doing the Super Bowl because of the comments made in the past. I'm not going to say what artist it is. It's Kanye West. Obviously he would be able to do a great, I guess in the past there are versions. I should say there are versions of Kanye in the past. There are years that Kanye would be able to put on a great show. But obviously, I don't, not a hot take to say that he may be a couple years away from getting back to maybe being in consideration for the Super Bowl. I don't know if that's actually something that would ever happen for him at this point. I guess. You say unfortunately because again of the whole situation involved. So just obviously if it didn't happen, everything doesn't happen. But unfortunately that is something that is probably off the table. I see the chat is saying, of course, Sabrina Carpenter is a potential option. I mean, you may be making fun of the option, and I'm sure that we would as well too if it happened. But don't act like the easy listening pop ballads of Sabrina Carpenter would not play well on the Super Bowl stage. And I gotta be honest as well too. Again, if we're talking about the ability to craft a show, from what I've seen in terms of like, I'm not necessarily as great in like watching music videos and stuff. I guess again it just depends on like the artist you follow. But you do see, of course, like the award show performances, and I guess I didn't even realize sometimes about how important those are as well too, and just seeing an artist's ability to communicate their stuff live like that. But still, what she has been able to do in terms of some of those award show performances are pretty captivating. I will say myself. So I think she would definitely have a very fun show that she would perform at the Super Bowl halftime, and again is right there with the star power as well too. She does have to be mentioned. I think she is a little, I'm not saying that, she, too early on in the musical career. I guess like we go back Timberlake 04. Like again, these guys are getting the breaks early, in some sense. Maybe he's the one. I don't know. Is he I guess Katy Perry in 15. That's definitely, artists at the peak of their powers. I guess same with Bruno Mars in 2014 for sure. Beyonce in I guess Beyonce, you had the whole Destiny's Child run as there, and kind of the early solo career as well. I don't know, Black Eyed Peas as a group, when they started popping off on the main stage. I guess they're doing it in 11 there. Pause. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Bruce Springsteen in 09. Prince in 07. Rose McCartney. So yeah, Timberlake, like we said there. Oh, NSYNC. Timberlake's been in the Super Bowl 3 times? Hey, yo. Mary J twice, though, because she was in the LA Super Bowl as well. I guess we didn't do enough research. Maybe Missy Elliott was in one of these Super Bowls here, because Super Duper Fly did drop in what? Was that 94 that dropped? 96? I don't know, somewhere in there. But maybe 92. I don't know. It seems like one of those years is a good years to guess for album dropping in the 90s, since that is a 90s year. But it seems, again, she's obviously there. She's Super Bowl watch list. I don't even think she's on Super Bowl watch list. I think she's on the list of like, she's going to do the Super Bowl. It's like Belichick making the first ballot Hall of Fame. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. There's just, we got to get Roger Craig in the Hall of Fame first. Like, I don't know what to tell you, Sabrina Carpenter. You're a major star. It's just, sorry, Alicia Keys hasn't headlined the Super Bowl. He's like, we got to have Alicia Keys out here headlining the Super Bowl. I don't know what to tell you. But, that might be close. If Sabrina Carpenter, has one, and I guess the last album, I'm not going to say it wasn't a hit, but obviously the album with Espresso, here, let's see if we can look that up real quick and see, because I'm sure the commercial success and all that stuff of this last album was fine, but it didn't seem like it quite had the same, just overall buzz Short and Sweet, that's what it's called. A Man's Best Friend. Hey, I guess the titles for some of these albums is not always the thing that we remember, but yeah, the Short and Sweet album has definitely been the biggest moment of her career so far. So that if she's able to get another album to generate even more hype than that, that would definitely continue to, of course, break through in that moment where it'd just be like, well, you just have to have her perform now, and there's no need to, have her hit like that quote unquote, like, because like even SZA as well too, like, she's been in the game now for a little bit as well. So has she thought like has she talked about like one more album and I'm gonna retire? Hey, again, she's only dropped like actually like three albums technically. I guess Lana, however you wanna. What do you got? Z, Control, SOS, and then Lana. So 4 albums technically, if we're including that. But maybe a fifth one. So again, like we're saying, like where Don Toliver has been at in his career. Hey, Don Toliver, he's on our personal Super Bowl. He might have to be though. He might have to be. This last album was a pretty big boost for him in popularity, and if he is able to take another step forward, at some point in his career, I think he would definitely be on the watch list there. And his production is definitely very. I think he's got songs that mix both ways, where he could have some songs that would just go crazy in a stadium. He's been on some fun features as well too, so he's got a good selection of artists that he could bring out for some fun songs. I mean, again, he would have a discography that would be a fun Super Bowl discography. He just still, I guess, has got that last level to break through. So Sabrina Carpenter is definitely there, but this might be like a top 3 contending name. And again, I would assume that I'm not trying to sit here and say we need to pivot I'm not trying to pivot the Super Bowl halftime too much. Again, this has been the best run of Super Bowl halftimes we've ever had. But you just have to be honest about who are the biggest stars at a given moment and who is going to be able to, again, perform at this type of show, who is sort of actively in an artisty phase that wants to do this. Like, again, to go back to the Rihanna example, like, I guess it's as simple as it could be for any of these guys, but Rihanna could just be like, hey, I'm just not doing music in general. Like, she performed for very specific business reasons, but, and, again, Ayo, obviously it's the move you have to make. And that's how, the business moves have been made for a large portion of her career have been through music. But for, her, she could have decided that there's, or there just in theory could have been another opportunity that was more beneficial. Who knows? Maybe the Super Bowl in 2023 is just something that, she doesn't want to pursue, having not dropped an album in a while. But regardless, there is, again, all these checkpoints to think that you have to hit for getting there. I guess the short of it is, or the long of it, pause. I was thinking that maybe we do have to start thinking about the Biebs as a real contender for the Super Bowl halftime. I think it might be time. It might be time to consider the Biebs, because he did drop an album again this past year, which did get some Grammy love. I think, again, we're not like listening to the radio the same way, so I don't know if his songs are getting like, is Bieber's music like all consuming, pause, the way it was in the past? Obviously, there was a time, speaking of, you couldn't go anywhere. Speaking of Timberlake back in the day, like, kids, you remember Justin Bieber? Hey, yo. Like, is that who, I would say our parents. I don't know if that's the exact timeline, but, the pop culture generation before us, like, they're sort of boy band pop star type guy like that. With their I'll say Prince of Pop in a way was Timberlake, and ours was Bieber. I guess that's not, Bieber's cool. Shout out Bieber, you're cool. Hey yo, that's fine. There is, and maybe that generation maybe the 90s are just better at talking about their people as well too at this point. I don't know. Maybe they've had a little bit more time to build out their arguments, but like the way they build up the mystique of MJ, I don't know. I guess people build up the mystique of like LeBron pretty good. So our generation gasses him up just like the 90s do LeBron, or just like the 90s do MJ. But there's like a mystique to Timberlake in a way. I don't know, his career. There is something about the force of his career that again, it does seem like one of those special things when people talk about it. Hey, shout out to Timberlake as well too. But I mean, you had to be there for the Biebs. Hey, the early Biebs, shout out. That was definitely the number. I guess I can't say even the number one time for kid pop stars as well too. Because what about the Jackson 5? Hey, but to think we had the Biebs and Miley Cyrus at like the same time, Hannah Montana at the same time. I guess Justin Bieber wasn't like a, wasn't a persona. Maybe it was at that time. Who knows? Hey, yo, now we're getting deep, pause. But, that was definitely an elite time for pop. Do we have the Jonas? Were the Jonas Brothers on the around? Do we have to? Could the Jonas Brothers do the halftime? Hey, yo, year 3000. Maybe just bring them out for. Maybe it's like a, like a 2000s pop homage. Hey, yo, that would be crazy. I don't know if we'd necessarily want to burn a Super Bowl halftime for that, but if that was just a show at some point, that would be fun. Where you just had all those guys. You just had like the Bieber and I guess. Again, Bieber. Oh, I didn't even honestly. I've said Miley Cyrus 3 times. I didn't even consider Miley Cyrus in the list that I made up imaginarily. I didn't even consider Miley Cyrus. Hey, yo, I need to look at the albums here. I need to look at the albums because I don't know. I can't honestly think of any. I don't know any of who's Hanny Montana. I don't know any Hannah Montana songs, to be honest with you. It is what it is. I'm not even trying to be like, oh, we're listening to Hannah Montana. Again, it just is what it is. I just can't even fake it. I don't know any Hannah Montana. Oh, does Party in the USA count? Does that count, or is that? I guess if that counts, then obviously we know that one. But again, Wrecking Ball. I'm assuming that's Miley Cyrus. Again, we're not Hannah Montana at that point. What years were we running the show? Oh, the movie was '09. Hey, yo. So yeah, I mean that seems like about right on the timeline. But for the discography here, Meet Miley Cyrus '07. Hey, yo. So wait, did she spoil it? Was this a spoiler for the movie? Because I thought she unveiled her identity in the movie. Oh, that might be the end of the first movie though. Hey, yo, because this is Hannah Montana 2. Hannah Montana 2, Meet Miley Cyrus is a double album by American Singer. Okay, so Breakout 08, Can't Be Tamed 10, Bangers 13, Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Pets 2015, Younger Now 17, Plastic Hearts 20, Endless Summer Vacation. I mean, the last two have definitely, been a little bit more, I think, do we just say at a higher level than her last couple projects? I mean, I guess that's not even a bad thing to say that, again, her last project, she's taken her work to another level. I mean, that's what you're trying to do as an artist anyways. But, I mean, on point being, I think on the strength of these two albums alone, she could do a lot of damage on, on a Super Bowl set. That would be crazy. I mean, just Endless Summer Vacation alone, I think is, a couple of hits on it that would carry. And then, I mean, you obviously have to do, how do you not do Party in the USA? It would seem a little weird now. I don't know. Again, Miley Cyrus, Party in the, I guess, IT, cut out our Miley Cyrus impression. We're not trying to be disrespectful over here. I just think maybe Party in the USA and the current Miley Cyrus register. I mean, who are we to judge? We've changed since our voices changed since we started singing Party in the USA, and we'll be singing along to it, so we can't judge at all. Run it out there. It is what it is. So Miley Cyrus, I was going to say the Biebs was going to be in the top 3, but the Biebs might be number 4 now. Miley Cyrus is number 3. Shout out. It is what it is. But, the Biebs also, I think, does have to be considered as well, too. Again, the album proves that he is still, because there was a second there where, again, it seemed like, is he active? Pause. Like, would he want to be out performing in the, do you just want to go cold straight into the Super Bowl? Like, again, Rihanna is like the only person that's, been able to accomplish that at this point. But when was the album where he's holding his hair back? Like, that was like the most recent one before this, I think, because that's got the Daniel Caesar feature on it. I got my peaches out in Georgia. Let's see. Justin Bieber, Our World. Oh, filmography. We need discography here. Yeah, Swag and Swag 2. Justin Bieber's version of Sweat and Suit. And then, Justice. 2021. Changes in 2020. What's on this track list? I guess we're going to have to get a little refresher here. Maybe this album doesn't quite make the cut for the Super Bowl halftime. Intention. Oh, we get Quavo? Yummy was a big song. People were bumping that track in 2020, that's for sure. And you do have a Post Malone feature on here as well, too. Travis Scott? A little Bieber Travis Scott. I mean, that's always been a fun pair. And then, Yummy, the Summer Walker remix. Oh, you gotta do that. Summer Walker, bring her out for Yummy, for the track. bring her out to perform the songs out. But I mean, obviously, early 2010s Bieber. I mean, why did he just not do the Super Bowl in 2015? To be honest, hey yo, that's a little bit of under the mistletoe at the Super Bowl. He was almost there at that point. It is what it is. But filmography: Zendaya behind the scenes, Katy Perry a part of me, and Zoolander 2. This is quite the run. Killing Hasselhoff. He's been in Zoolander 2, Popstar, Never Stop Stopping, and Killing Hasselhoff, and Lennon or McCarthy, a short film directed by is a companion of 550 celebrity responses taken from interviews after the question, which of the two former Beatles is superior, Lennon or McCarthy? Okay, I thought Lennon, rest in peace. I mean, I guess it doesn't mean we can't debate it. It's just, I guess, I don't know. Are we allowed to? I guess, what do you do? It is what it is. But a cold way of looking at John Lennon. Shout out. But IT, cut that out. Bieber's mugshot. Hey, yo. Do we just get this on the Jumbotron at some point? Is that part of the show? Maybe his growth as a person over time? I don't know. But yeah, again, he is in contention mode. If we just get to the point where we have to draw names out of a hat for performing the Super Bowl, oh, do we just ask the ChatGPT? Hey, yo, since ChatGPT runs the world, we could just make a list and ask it who would have the better Super Bowl halftime. And I did forget that we were bringing SZA back into the list as well, too. So SZA, the Biebs, Miley Cyrus. Of course, people have been saying and clamoring, and I think one of the people is himself, for Chris Brown to be in the Super Bowl as well, too, which is another name that's like, yeah, I think it's definitely if we're talking about the discography, and if we're talking about, again, the sort of artist popularity, the point at which he's in the game again as well too. Obviously, a bit of a veteran at this point. Like, it does make sense that he is absolutely one of those guys that is next up for the Super Bowl halftime. Again, if there were discussions as to maybe why that wouldn't be, again, I guess you could have those, but. Yeah, obviously Chris Brown is easily in the top 3. If again we're just judging into the status, the discography, like we're saying, the hits. Yeah, he might honestly be again in the. I guess like we're saying, it's names out of a hat at this point. But there was a name that I did think of, and again, it's not just. I was able to think of it because he's a major star, but I thought about this person in the context of them in the Super Bowl, and I was like, oh man, this might happen. This might happen if we're looking at the biggest stars in the game. And I don't know, I guess the thing would be if this guy has ever turned it down. But I feel like for a while, and again, now I'm projecting myself, for a while, for me, this guy was just unavoidable. I could not go anywhere and just not hear him playing music, and it was everybody. His songs are major hits. But it does seem like there has been, and maybe just going into streaming and not listening to the radio the same type of way. I don't know. Maybe I'm at the mall less. I'm not sure. But when I thought about, is it time for Ed Sheeran to do the Super Bowl? I was like, oh no, we might be getting an Ed Sheeran Super Bowl next year, and I guess that's not a bad thing, right? Shout out Ed Sheeran. He's a great singer songwriter. But I was like, okay, that shout out. I mean, and again, it's a credit to him that he has been able to get to this level. The mathematics here on the albums, I mean, I guess, this is the discography. Is this what he wanted to look like when he's like, what do you want your career to look like when you're, at the end of it there? Plus, times, divided, equals, minus. Autumn Variations. And then, so yeah, like these last two here, I didn't even know he dropped these last 2 albums, with all due respect. Autumn Variations, In Play, in 2015. So these are listed as albums and not mixtapes. And Ayo, wait a second. Oh, I guess he doesn't have a play already. So he didn't go with the play button here. To be honest, I almost wanted him to go with the play button. That's the best logo of all these, to be honest. Ayo, actually well, I guess none of these are really, I was gonna say, what's the logo that like brings people together? But I guess we literally only have, I guess, multiply, right? But we have divide, equal. There we go, equal. Equal is the best one here. We're all equal. But I guess play is just the coolest one. The little triangle. So I don't know why he skipped out on the coolest symbol of the bunch. But I guess, there, like an X logo is obviously, I mean, that's honestly just kind of basic. It is what it is. The Play logo, maybe a little bit more exotic, not as overused. Because I guess, maybe maybe X being used as a multiply in music sign is, for on album covers is maybe not overused. But just to, the idea of X on a logo situation in, entertainment is, I think we've been there. It is what it is. But, yeah, he is, again, definitely there for the star power. So we'll have to see if we'll once again be hearing "Shape of You" on the airwaves. It is what it is there, and he does have. Does he have a lot of features as well? Like, I guess I don't even know. Does he have a feature on "Shape of You"? Like, who would he bring out? I don't even know. I guess he is friends with Taylor Swift. So again, maybe that's her way to. I don't know how she would do the business dealings there. I can't go inside the mind of Taylor Swift. Pause. Hey, Travis Kelce, don't get mad. But, I can't think like Taylor Swift in that aspect. It is what it is. Are we trying to? I was for a second. I was trying to say, hey, I was trying to imagine if I was Taylor Swift, would I, and I can't negotiate with the Super Bowl to get the halftime performance that I want. Would I go out there for my friend Ed Sheeran to perform at the halftime? Like I said, I don't know. I would be inclined to think that, again, because I'm a bad business person, I probably would perform for our friend Ed Sheeran. But, again, I can't say. If I was a good business person, maybe I would hold out. I don't know. Pause. But Ed Sheeran, definitely on the list. So SZA, Chris Brown, Ed Sheeran, Miley Cyrus, and Bieber as the top 5. I think that is honestly the top 5. Because then, again, we go into the next tier of people that would be. And if there is, like, a legacy person, I'm not thinking. I guess, like we said, Alicia Keys would be, or like, again, like Lady Gaga, Beyonce, maybe a little bit more, I guess like Chris Brown's kind of right, obviously in the timeline of some of those people, but him not having done it yet, it is what it is. But for if there's like a Bruce Springsteen or something, like we were saying that had done it in the past, but if there's a guy like that hasn't done it yet, that I'm not thinking of, that is needing to, like Billy Joel. Like, does Billy Joel need to do that? I'm not trying to, assume who's performing now and who's not, but because I think we mentioned this last year when we were looking up, but one of the first names that I did look up to see, again, what with all due respect, just to see, like, is this something that could happen? But I guess just putting myself, like, hey, if we were booking the Super Bowl halftime, would I make this call? But I did Google, like, could Elton John still do the Super Bowl halftime? And it was like, maybe that might not be something that's totally in the works as of right now. Again, as we see, very respectfully, obviously, the legacy, the man's given us some of the greatest music of all time. So, playing it on Spotify is perfect for me. Shout out. I'm just saying that's a show I would want to see. That is honestly, of all the shows, maybe the number one show. Maybe, if we're going artist of any generation, you bring Whitney Houston back for a Super Bowl halftime and just, that would be amazing. But obviously for that, but, just the idea of the musical of that would be just an incredible musical performance, obviously. But the musical performance combined, again, with if you could say from an entertainment standpoint, the spectacle of an Elton John show, like, he would definitely, again, provide, like, a great entertainment. Like, the set would be insane. Obviously, the outfit would be insane. The piano stuff would be crazy. So I would think that he would be, again, the time machine artist would be a top draft pick. For sure. I don't know. Tip our hand, all-time Super Bowl halftime draft. It might be an Elton John number 1 overall pick for us. It is what it is. I just want to see what that is. That'd be insane. But, also, I guess, then, like Tupac hit him up at the Super Bowl. Like, oh, that'd be fun. But then we already saw Not Like Us. So we kind of saw how that would go. But Tupac would definitely be, sweatier in a sleeveless maybe as well, too. Potentially, an artist performing sleeveless as has an artist ever taken their shirt off at the Super Bowl? Ayo, shout out Janet Jackson. But I don't know. We haven't had. Did Usher went shirtless, right? We haven't had. Kendrick wasn't like ripping off his jacket. And Bad Bunny, was definitely. Bad Bunny was definitely doing his thing. Make no mistake. He didn't go into like a striptease though. At some point, that was the last step for Bad Bunny's halftime performance. It is what it is. But. Yeah, so do we have to, I guess we said we were going to make a pick. I honestly, and, I guess since The only reason I don't want to pick, well, I guess, again, from the musical side of it, the only reason I don't want to commit to the Chris Brown prediction is because I didn't think of it. I'm jealous I didn't think of it first. It is what it is. Our mind immediately was just like, wait, Gaga? Like, that would be kind of fun. I legitimately was like, hey, yo, because I just was not locked into the Super Bowl halftime in 2017. It is what it is. So now we can just go back and rewatch that, and that'd be great as well too. And again, now knowing the rules of the eligibility, having SZA back in eligibility would be a top halftime selection for us if we were, just making the pick ourselves. But yeah, it might be Chris Brown. It might be Chris Brown as the Super Bowl. But I think the Biebs is a strong. The Biebs is not. Is the Biebs gonna do a Super Bowl halftime? I don't know. He just dropped an album recently. He's just big on Spotify. So I don't know if we need to double check the Spotify rankings and see what is the artist names that we're missing here. But again, a lot of these top guys have already now performed there as well too. So we've got Bruno Mars, The Weeknd, like I said, Taylor Swift's off the table, Rihanna. So is it, the Biebs is 5th in the world right now. The Biebs is one of 5 people to. Oh, I can't believe I didn't mention Billie Eilish. I thought of Billie Eilish earlier, so I just must have just assumed I was going to say it and just never said it. But yeah, Billie Eilish easily a top pick as well too. The Biebs might have just got bumped again. Hey yo, Miley Cyrus and Billie Eilish are both going to take the Biebs spot. Also, Harry Styles does have an album releasing in a little bit. If that were able to jump him up again, he's right with Sabrina Carpenter here. I guess Pitbull? Could Pitbull do a halftime? Hey, yo, it would be fun for sure. And again, obviously we know what the songs would be, but we wouldn't be bummed out. We love those songs. We literally still play them at the club. I mean, the only problem with playing those Pitbull songs at the halftime is, can we play them again are we gonna just overplay them over the course of the day? Like, you're probably gonna be playing them. I guess if you're in the Midwest, it is what it is. You just have one playlist, you just rip through it. It's got some Pitbull songs on it, but you got, you're gonna be playing, what's the hotel room? You're gonna be playing hotel room service, 3 times in the day, 4 times in the day, pregame, halftime. I guess maybe it is what it is. Like a Calvin Harris DJ set. Maybe. I don't know if I quite see that one. Ooh, Dua Lipa is right there. Dua Lipa is right there. I don't know if Post Malone is trending in the right direction for doing the Super Bowl halftime. And Doja Cat has been, if we were going like artist peak listeners, which is something interesting to kind of look at as well too. Ooh, Mariah Carey shoots up. Mariah Carey halftime. Whoa. This shows you we should have done more research. Hey, yo. Mariah Carey obviously needs to be at a halftime at some point. That is the Bill Belichick right there. Hey, yo. How is Mariah Carey not performed at a halftime yet? That would be insane. But Sabrina Carpenter's right here, Drake, Eminem, Miley Cyrus, David Guetta. David Guetta's going to end racism at the Super Bowl halftime. Let's see it, chat. We need the unity that David Guetta can provide the world this time. Travis Scott is also on the watch list as well too, but not quite. Michael Bublé, if we move the Super Bowl to December, then Bublé can do the halftime, but maybe not quite yet. Marshmello? I don't know about that. Queen, rest in peace, Michael Jackson. Kelly Clarkson. Super Bowl halftime. Is it a talk show version of the halftime, or is it the songs? Metro Boomin set, Sinatra, like a Sinatra impressionist, or we get just like a Sinatra AI frame. Oh, that's the first Super. Actually, the first AI Super Bowl halftime is probably Elvis. It's not Sinatra. It would definitely be Elvis. And then I guess I tread lightly. Was I gonna say AI Whitney Houston? I was not gonna say it. I wasn't gonna say it. But, again, if we're bringing artists back, obviously, it is what it is. You just, shout out. But Benson Boone? Benson Boone's going to do the halftime? I don't know about that. Doechii. Doechii hasn't even technically dropped an album at this point. Only a mixtape. Doechii's going to be the first artist to do a mixtape at the Super Bowl? I mean, why not? Shout out. I mean, can it be a Levi's sponsor Super Bowl halftime? I don't know. Can we say that? I don't know. But Halsey, Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne, I think, unfortunately, is not going to be performing at the Super Bowl halftime as the headliner. But maybe we need to, if of course, like we're saying, Drake ever gets Super Bowl halftime, you could have Lil Wayne out there, I guess, potentially as a guest. Does he ever feature with like Billie Eilish? Oh, he has to have a feature with the Biebs, right? Lil Wayne and the Biebs, they have to have a song. That's how Lil Wayne gets on the halftime. Lil Wayne and Justin Bieber. Let's see, we got Bless, Lil Wayne and Yeezy featuring Young Thug. No, that's not what we're looking for. No Ceilings 3 B-side. Lil Wayne, Justin Bieber track. If they don't have a track together, I'm going to be surprised. Oh, here we go. Yeah, they do. Oh, it's DJ Khaled. Oh, Chad. DJ Khaled, maybe he needs to be at the Super Bowl halftime because he could, of course, I mean, we're talking about bringing out guests. Hey, yo, I mean, he could just bring out another one and another one and another one. It would be crazy. It would be, it would have to be the most stacked guest set ever. I don't think DJ Khaled would unfortunately be able to carry the set by himself. But, I mean, again, like we're saying, DJ Khaled on one song could bring out Biebs, Quavo, Chance the Rapper, and Lil Wayne. So that would be insane. Can we see what DJ Khaled's most streamed songs are? And that might actually be the most appropriate song that could be played, potentially. Where is he at here on this list? I have no idea where DJ Khaled is sitting at in monthly streamers. Benson Boone? Does DJ Khaled have more or less monthly streamers than Benson Boone? Tame Impala? ABBA? Hey, yo, ABBA or DJ Khaled? ABBA at the Super Bowl, though. Ooh. I guess with all due respect, I don't know, for that group who's around, but, I mean, if possible, that would be potentially a great set here. Hey, yo, let me look up his page real quick and see what his number of followers is. Number of listeners is, so I can actually pay attention when we're scrolling through. 21.3. Oh, okay, so we're a ways away. Shout out. Party Next Door, Derulo. It's obviously small numbers separating these people. Pac Houston, shout out. Lord Huron, Louis Capaldi. Hey, yo, a Louis Capaldi. Timbaland at the Super Bowl would be crazy. Potentially. The Bee Gees. Get the Bee Gees at the Super Bowl would actually be nuts. A Saturday night, I think actually maybe Saturday Night Fever did do the Super Bowl. To be honest, we might have to go back and look at that one. Fetty Wap? Can Fetty Wap do the album 10 years later? Might be still slaps. SD Kid? Timothy Chalamet? That'd be the ultimate test. Can SD Kid bring out Timothy Chalamet at the Super Bowl? Or does it have to be some type of fake ordeal? But DJ Khaled, here we go. 21.3. Okay, so I'm the One is his most streamed song. And then Wild Things. Oh, so he could bring Rihanna back out. And it's been a little bit longer since Rihanna was, the headliner, 2023 as well, too. Bryson Tiller would be a fun Super Bowl guest, for sure. And you could bring Drake out with Popstar, maybe do Popstar and Grease, potentially. But I don't know if you would be, or Staying Alive as well, too, is a pretty popular hit for him. I don't know if you would quite be able to get that. But I guess you did have, again, success with that Bieber, Chance, Quavo group again with No Brainer. So you could do, obviously, both tracks there. And then you're definitely, I guess, maybe you're not going to bring out Dirk, but you could bring out Lil Baby, for sure. Every chance I get, Lil Baby is fun. I mean, Snoop, Ludacris, and T-Pain, All I Do Is Win. So wait, how many songs do you get? Like 8 or 9 songs for the Super Bowl halftime? So he might, just easily be able to rip through that. DJ Khaled might actually be a contender. I'm not going to lie. If we're talking about 12, I'm not saying that, every song's like in contention for the greatest song of all time. I'm just saying that this is an insane guest list, and he, again, those beats are going to be fun, and there's some stadium bangers in there that are familiar with. Hey, speaking of stadium bangers, I think Drake is considered himself a stadium banger in the past, but hey, if we can figure out how many songs you can actually get in a set here, we can see if we don't have to go too deep into the cut list for our guy DJ Khaled, because that would be one where If we had to sneak like a DJ Khaled B side in there, that might not like we might just want to stick to the hits at that case. But I honestly don't know like just like what's like a DJ Khaled deep cut that people like. I think everything is just like, okay, well that's not a hit, and I guess that one is. But Kendrick is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 parts of 11 songs. So yeah, you can. So yeah, again, I guess you get 13 minutes. However, really, I don't know why I keep throwing that out. It's just kind of a random number, not a lucky one, but a random one. So you get 12 minutes to potentially kind of divvy up however you want your songs there. He's got plenty over 100. He's got 11 over 200,000. But to be honest, like his top 7, I think really do play the most. I'm on one. Oh, I guess I don't really know what that is. That non-feature cut there. For Free with Drake, I can't really think of. We did mention Staying Alive. Do You Mind? I guess I don't know if you want to bring out Nicki Minaj right now, but you could bring Chris Brown out. Just Us featuring SZA. Shout out. I guess I can't really think of that one. At top, Big Energy, Shining Wish Wish. I Did It. I do know that one. Megan Thee Stallion. Shout out there. Let It Go. I think most of these are off that album though. That I don't even know what that album's called, but I guess that album, was a big Spotify album at the time. It is what it is. Oh, and God Did is fun as well too, but a lot of the songs aren't like major hits off of that. Even though, again, obviously the production is. I like the production on the album is pretty great, but yeah, DJ Khaled. Hey yo, and outside looking in potentially for the Super Bowl. I guess maybe with the way again, I don't know if he's currently dropping music as much anymore, so the momentum there might kind of wear off. But yeah, I guess that would be the official watch list so far for Super Bowl 2027. We've got, like we said, Chris Brown, SZA, Justin Bieber. Did we officially have him on the list? Hey, yo, Miley Cyrus, DJ Khaled, and I guess somebody else. Oh, Harry Styles. I don't know. We should have written it down. It is what it is. But Chris Brown, good luck at your Super Bowl halftime performance next year. We can't wait for it to be announced. So we will take one more quick break, and then we'll be back. We've got to just check in on the NBA before we hit the All-Star break this weekend, just to see what was going on. We were definitely focused on the NBA or the NFL playoffs. Trade deadline gets you focused on some of the off-court moves, but just to catch up on what was going on in the, on the court over the last handful of games in the NBA. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back to wrap up the show on this Tuesday night. Don't go anywhere. All right, chat, we're back. Stay with me now. We're just going to look up some stats real quickly. Just got to see, a quick update on what was happening in the NBA while we were not as maybe locked in as we should have been during the NFL playoffs. But, our focus was on, I guess, making sure the Patriots didn't walk away victorious with a Super Bowl, which fortunately didn't happen. So now we're back, and we get to focus on the main sport during the stretch run of the season here, especially after the All-Star break, again, as that is this weekend. But I think the first big takeaway over some of the major NBA stuff, who would have guessed it would have been related to the Spurs? And I've definitely escalated this take about 17 times with the game that Wemby is having here today. But the Spurs have, yes, they were I guess they're scary because, of what they could be. And there still is, again, the potential. They haven't done anything in the playoffs yet. This is still the first version of this team together, having this type of success. But they played the Thunder, of course. I guess I don't know how recently that game has been now. We can look that up here maybe and see when their last matchup was. But the Thunder, of course, if you're locked in, famously, I guess, kind of famously at this point, but they rested their entire team. And there was news today that the league is investigating it as well, too. They're trying to put a real stop to some of the needless resting and obviously the tanking, but not even really the tanking, more so especially for that part of it, more so the star players being on the court when the fans are putting up the money for the tickets. The fans are obviously paying to see the players. You got to apparently make rules to show that the players are going to be out there. But they basically sat their entire team. So that game would have taken place on, and I guess we're going to have to see the past games here for the Spurs. That game was on the 4th of February. And yeah, it was kind of close as well too. OKC only lost by 10. I guess I don't remember if they stormed back in the fourth quarter. That one we go double check the line score for that. A ticket equals 2 beers? Hey, yo. You gotta, I guess the promo for this game's perfect. Who cares if the Thunder are resting their players? That's a deal right there. You're saving yourself $50. Hey, yo. That's crazy. But, yeah, shout out. And, Black Heritage Night for the Mavs as well, too. You know what? This is the one you got to go to right here. I think you got to sacrifice your 2 beers for celebrating history, especially at these times when it needs celebrated. But, Chad, we'll get our cape off now and keep talking about basketball. But for the San Antonio, like we're saying, the Lakers tonight as well, too. Obviously not the same quite level of competitiveness as the Thunder, but they still have taken the same approach to rest all their guys against San Antonio. And it's also that stretch of the season as well, too, where there may be a little bit more rest implemented into the schedule. And, maybe LeBron's a little bit more, rest happy this time, of his career now as well, too. Again, the Lakers season hasn't necessarily gone 100% everything's smooth sailing. So maybe Luka, game before the All-Star break, Reeves. Again, it makes sense that this game, just on the schedule, looking at this season, blank slate, makes sense that this would happen. But regardless, it did happen against San Antonio. So I think, and like we said about the OKC Thunder games in the past, I don't want to, again, I guess we are going to put too much weight in the regular season games. It is what it is. It's all we got. But I really do think going back and watching that last game, that third matchup that they played in the regular season, so the game after the Christmas Day matchup, and, in some ways I also don't know if I'm just changing as but changing as a fan, where maybe I'm actually trying to find the silver linings in things with the teams and just, be happy with watching sports, where in the past it's we just have to win the title. I cannot be happy in any version of the season unless we win the title. And maybe it still is that, but I guess maybe the game to game can be a little bit more enjoyed, where again, I would just be out on full seasons where it's we're not going to win the title. And maybe the Colts this year, even with the way we started, it's I don't know, I'm not necessarily still sold this team's a title team. So maybe that's a little too strict, but it's I guess until I'm kind of sold that the team is that, then I guess, I do actually get that pep in my step about watching them play. So again, I'm not trying. I guess not trying to say. Am I admitting I'm a Fairwater fan? Obviously not. I'm admitting my frustrations when they lose, obviously. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, again, maybe I don't know if I'm softening with old age. Hey, pause. But I do. I mean, I think this team's a legit team to win the title this year. It is what it is. I know I've said that in the past, but I think it now has crossed over into the point where it is like legitimately scaring teams now. And again, this is the first version of that team, so it's not, can I sit here and say that they're scaring teams based on what they've done? Obviously not. It's not the Warriors, rolling into town in the past. Like, we know we've heard the legends, we've seen the results. Like, we know what this team is capable of. They've won the title already. Like, again, it's not that, but the defense that this team has, the level of intensity that the backcourt played with, the Wemby as a defender, like, people don't want to see this team. It is what it is. And again, maybe is Luka gonna be afraid of San Antonio in the playoffs? Luka's not Luka's not afraid of anybody. We can admit that as a Spurs fan who maybe is not a fan of the Lakers, and Luka has played for the Lakers and the Mavs. So guess what? We're probably not a big fan of Luka if he keeps playing for our rivals. But we can admit one thing: going into a playoff series against San Antonio, he's not going to be afraid, but he's not going to want to see us either. It is what it is. So, I mean, again, these teams are literally proving it. They don't want to see us in the regular season. And I think we're at a place right now where, and maybe I'm just extra tracking the rest versus San Antonio. I've got to actually start now tracking the rest of I got to start tracking the rest in the league to prove my point. Hey, what am I doing, Chad? But, it does seem like we are actually at a little bit more of a consistent point with that, where, again, some of these, like I'm saying, like LeBron, it makes sense. Like Luka has had a little bit of a history of some load management in the past, so I think that makes sense as well too. But the OKC one, again, was very, very evident. And I know that's the one team example. Like, is Jokic going to be scared of this team in the playoffs? No, Jokic, again, is not scared of anybody. And I actually think Jokic actually doesn't care who he plays. Like, Jokic is the one guy that doesn't care. Like, if OKC does care a little bit, and we should say Castle just with a crazy, crazy block on the other end. I can't really hear the game, so I don't know if they I don't think they blew the play dead, but Castle is looking like he's a little banged up there, so that's not good. But he just completely rejected Rui Hachimura on that basket. Oh, yeah, he was definitely a tough fall on the hip bone, so definitely got the, wind knocked out of him there. Hey, I don't think it, looked like the neck snapped back a little bit too on the landing. I don't think he hit his head on the floor, but that is getting close there. So fortunately, it hopefully is just, a moment to collect himself and, maybe a bruise or something. Hey, pause. But, hopefully, I guess the point being, hopefully it's just, a couple minutes to gather and he will be good to go. But, block of the season candidate for Castle right there. I mean, yes, Wemby on the team, but obviously, what Castle is able to do athletically. Oh, Chad, I just jinxed it. They got trainers out there. Wemby and Carter Bryant and Dylan Harper are all standing over him. Oh, Chad, imagine on the play of the year as I'm sitting here saying their title this is the biggest jinx of all time. It is what it is. I got to stop. Oh, man. It's also, you got to say the support of the team as well, too, and all that. He's definitely just, you can tell, just shaking it off right now. Oh, did he say I'm good? I think he said I'm good. I hope he said that was our interpretation of what he said. Of course, they got to show the 40-point game against the Mavs on Saturday. I mean, right after the injury, as it's like a reminder that he could be potentially getting hurt at the peak of his powers on the year. But I mean, that's it as well too. Like, again, offensively, he's continuing to take step forwards where, and I said this in the past as he started to emerge as well too on this team, but. And obviously, if we win a title, and Castle's going back to the locker room, but I think it is also because we're up 30 right now. And again, the Lakers are literally playing Kobe Buffkin. So hopefully, shout out Kobe Buffkin, good player. But, hopefully our starters are able to take care of business to some degree. But, again, we will definitely win the title because of Wemby. But we will win the title because of Castle if we win a title. And not to say that Castle is going to be the finals MVP, but I'm kind of starting to get there. Like, and I guess Wemby has had his 40-point games this year, but I think Castle is going to be a little bit just more important for a play. I think I can't necessarily contextualize it as he's our best player, and it is a credit to San Antonio that there is a little bit of a balance between specifically those two guys. I think shouldering that responsibility, and again, guys like Harper and some of the role guys around him as well too, being able to get better and being able to play well now. But with the way Castle is playing, like again, I just legitimately one of the scariest teams in the league at this point. Like teams are avoiding us. It is what it is. So shout out the Spurs. Hopefully this is not the peak. Well, in some ways this will be. There's no way. I guess there is a way that it's not. Obviously a good playoff run would be that way, but it's undeniable, even to me, a pessimistic fan, that this is a legitimate season for us now. We should be viewing this as a season that we can win the title. It is what it is. Like, I don't know that, again, can we look back and be like, oh, that's a lost season? But that's what I'm saying. I think you kind of have to, in a way. Still don't really know what the playoffs are going to play out like, but with the competitiveness that they're starting to show, and with, I think, the respect that, again, they're starting to garner in the league, you can see it is definitely starting to happen. But, we need to do a little stat check here on some of the recent events, because you can, fortunately, on NBA here, sort by some of the last couple of games. So just to see what has been standing out over the last 10 to 15 games or so in the NBA season. I guess here, just to update real quick. Doncic leads in points per game. Shea 2. Edwards 3. Jaylen Brown 4. Donovan Mitchell 5. Maxey 6 at 28-8. And then Jokic and Giannis at 7 and 8 as well. To Kawhi at 9, and then Brunson at 10. I guess to round out the top of the list there. The Clippers, though, in the second half of the game earlier tonight against the Rockets, did not keep up, and they pulled away. The Clippers have had some guys where there's like Jordan Miller running around. You're like, hey, is he kind of nice? And again, you're like, wait a second, Jordan Miller, Kawhi, like if they get Darius Garland back out there, is that going to be something? But I don't know what the Garland timeline is at this point. And it really is making me wonder, this timeline for that Garland trade, or for him returning, and maybe just, again, not this one injury, but it is going to be interesting to see how that impacts, again, I guess, personally, what I think about his vet. Because, like I said at the trade deadline, and again, it could always just be the Cavs made a bad move. Like, it could just be that. We saw it last year with the Mavs. And, it could be the Cavs made a good move. Harden's awesome for him. But for Garland, it felt like you could get a little bit more future assets instead of, obviously, getting a more veteran player back in the trade. But if the injuries are a real thing, and if you really think that, again, defensively there's some liabilities there, and if he's just maybe not going to be the same player going forward for some reason, again, it's just going to be interesting to see, I guess, what his impact is going to be on the Clippers in that way. Maybe that Harden trade is actually like a decent trade as well, too. But, hey, Embiid is leading the league in scoring. If we filter this out by the last 10 games, he has played 7 of them, but he is at 33.7. I mean, I hate to say that Cooper Flagg's name jumps out right away, but obviously it's the one that is not consistent with the entire season. So that is why it jumps out, and no other reason. But Booker is top 10 in the last 10 as well, too. 26.3 a game. 46 and 38. And the West, I'm not saying that, am I going to turn around after saying the Spurs are going to win? It's like, I'm scared of Phoenix in the West. But that is the worst case scenario for this Spurs season, is something like that happens. Because, again, Phoenix is like a good team. And you do have veterans there with Brooks and Booker, obviously, where, again, are they going to make a run to the finals if they get hot in the playoffs? Would seem a little crazy at this point to predict that. I know, though, obviously Sam Darnold winning a Super Bowl, Indiana, the Hoosiers winning a college football national title, like maybe anything's possible. Maybe Phoenix would win the NBA title after trading Kevin Durant, and, second apron disasters and all that different stuff. But that type of veteran team, just having an are one of those franchises. Like, it's not Colts versus Chargers, but there is some playoff battles there with Phoenix where, again, like the Grizzlies have eliminated the Spurs in the playoffs early, and it's like, I get that there's years where we could definitely be better than the Grizzlies, and it would probably be easily, it'd be fine, whatever, however you want to say it. But just the fact that we would have to play the Grizzlies in the playoffs makes me uncomfortable. The Mavs are a playoff team that makes me uncomfortable. OKC is a little bit, but really it was Durant and Harden and Westbrook, obviously, that, it was Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook together as teammates that made us uncomfortable. So I guess, they're a little bit there still now as well too. But like we said in the past, with all due respect to Minnesota, like there's just not that, franchise PTSD from watching Minnesota just kill the Spurs in playoff series and just be like, oh, how are we going to get past, no, once again, Minnesota. I mean, obviously it's relatable because, we just were experiencing this with the Patriots, where the Patriots were in the Super Bowl, and it's like, how are the Patriots going to be doing this once again? Oh, chat, the Spurs. What a night. This is how they're our favorite team. They're locked in. They're like, we know the REMINGTOM pod. They're pro Bronny. We want to see They want to see Bronny play. We'll go ahead and get a 30-point lead before halftime. Bronny's in the game. Shout out. He's on Carter Bryant right now. Obviously, that's, if we're in a game and Carter Bryant and Bronny are out there, it's definitely, again, gotten to a certain point. And he almost just gave up a 3. Carter Bryant was definitely open and definitely just missed it. Carter Bryant's like 6'11". Like, this guy should just be able to just, like, take a 3 right over the top of him. Hey, yo, pause. But Wemby, easy lop. Hey, yo, it's not even close. We're at 82 with 6 seconds left in the second quarter. Again, we're playing the Lakers G League team, but, still, they've definitely proven that there is a little bit of there's levels to this. But, yeah, the idea of matching up against Phoenix in the playoffs is a little bit scary at this time. I guess we said Dallas as like a franchise. Dallas this year, they have played us close with Cooper Flag, but I think we're clearly a better team than Dallas. I think we're fine there. And they're, again, obviously relying on also, inexperienced players like Cooper Flag. Again, Devin Booker has been to a finals. So if it was like Devin Booker just had this random playoff series win against a real hot, and again, maybe San Antonio does bounce back and that motivates them to win, make it to the Western Conference Finals next year. Who knows? Again, we can't necessarily predict every great star player is going to win a finals. But, the idea of just Devin Booker having a random player against anybody, the idea of Devin Booker and Phoenix, beating Denver. Again, I'm not predicting it. I'm just saying that's a team that's a feisty playoff team. And you see if Booker's putting up 26 a game and he's efficient and he got the defense started, because this is still the first game that those guys are playing together as well too. So their chemistry is only going to continue to get better over the course of the season. And again, like their team actually, has an identity that makes sense there as well. I guess he's only played 3 games over this stretch, but that doesn't take away from what we're saying. I do still have PTSD and do not want to see Phoenix in a playoff series at some point. It just it makes me unsettled. I don't know PTSD is the right term, but it makes me unsettled. Though our guy Jalen Johnson, 8 games, 25 a game, that's undeniable, 12th in the league in scoring, 1 spot over Durant in points per game. I guess 2 more shots a game. So definitely making use of it there. Siakam, though, starting to turn around. I guess, unfortunately, maybe not unfortunately, because, you bring Halliburton back again. I guess you have those 2 guys. You just made the finals. I don't know if you think you made the finals again. You get Mather, and, who knows how the other core guys are continuing to develop there around those guys as well, too. But who knows? You could have turned him into something at the trade deadline if you had shopped it. I guess the contract would have been a little bit of a factor, but I think he is not on like a long-term deal, so you should be fine there. I was going to say, with Maxey being at 28-8 on the season, I wonder how he was dipping down in points per game, but obviously you can't really say like, oh, how is that hurting Philly? Because again, you got Embiid when he's playing in 7 games last day, 33 a game. So that opportunity is going to be there for him as well too. And 10 free throws a game, is that physicality that you like to see, that, of course, he had exerted on the game in the past. Paolo at 9. Paolo, 23 a game, 47% from the field, 40% from 3. You like to see those numbers starting to round out. 2.5 turnovers a game, pushing it a little bit there. But Zion getting to the line a little bit, and same with Wemby, 5 a game. I guess we're dipping down a little bit into a different tier at this time. But Jalen Williams, hey, yo, just taken right where, pause, right where Shea left off with some of the All-Star game injuries there for him. I guess he might be the one that's able to get away with it with the investigation, but the problem is they just sat too many guys. I guess they were willing to take the L for that game, obviously, with the rest stuff, whatever penalties happened there. It is what it is. But maybe the refs just have a favoritism toward OKC, but it is also, Jalen Williams as well too, proving that he can be kind of a legit number one option in a sense. And, is, I don't want to say the forgotten guy when it comes to OKC. I guess, for us, of course, we've saying that Shea's not getting credit for how he carries the team. So now, ayo, check the tapes. We're contradicting ourselves. But, I mean, it's clear that he has risen to the occasion from a numbers standpoint. At least, I guess, getting to the line. I guess his field goal percentage is 35%. So, not great there. And he hasn't hit a three. One game. Okay, so he needs to get back on. 13 free throw attempts. It is what it is. But we've got Edwards also in the mix there as well, too, as you would expect to see from him attacking. But from three, Doncic's attempts, Steph, on and off in games played right now. Trey Murphy at 10 3-pointers a game in the last 10 games at 35%. Michael Porter, 42% from the field, 32% from three. So his percentages have cooled off a little bit. And LaMelo in the last 10, 39% from the field, 37% from three. LaMelo, unfortunately, has been a little inconsistent this year. And Simons, of course, now on Chicago, the opportunity is probably going to be there both ways. Again, they definitely were needing him off the bench a little bit there in Boston, but 46 and 36, if we round up, is still not, too bad. So we're liking that. I guess we did see some unfortunate clips of Jaden Ivey after hyping him up in the trade, but I still like the swing. So you get him, you get Simons, you get Giddey. Again, both those guys can kind of play off him as athletic guards. So it can be an either or you have a six man there. Maybe Ivy's the six man instead. Who knows? But it's a fine move. It's a fine move to try it out. So Colin Gillespie, 8 3-pointers a game, 44%, 41% as well too. Like again, they've got spacing. Allen, Gillespie, like I said, Booker, Brooks. I mean, the centers that they've been able to bring in, give them options there as well too. So yeah, Phoenix is, again, just a sleeper team to keep an eye on at this point. Would Phoenix be the best team in the East? I don't know. I honestly would, with the way they're playing. I'm not saying I would feel the best about Phoenix in the East. I'm just saying that, I would not be surprised if they made a little bit of noise. I guess that might be too crazy. I don't know. That's at the pre-hot take, pre-All-Star hot takes. Phoenix would win the East, I guess, over Detroit. Could Phoenix beat Detroit in a playoff series? I mean, I think they could. Again, them making the run through the playoffs is what looking at any team in the East is what's difficult right now. Is who's, not who is good. I mean, obviously there's good teams, but who's good enough to win 4 series in a row? I mean, somebody has to do it because there's going to be teams that cost themselves more than others. But, could Phoenix potentially, again, just stumble through 4 playoff series in a sense and just be in the Eastern Conference and just be in the finals, be in the Eastern Conference Finals 3 playoff series? I don't know. Would the Pelicans? I was seeing Trey Murphy. The Pelicans probably wouldn't win the East, unfortunately for them. It is what it is there. Atlanta, I guess they can win the East, Jalen Johnson, because they are in the East. They're probably not quite a sleeper quite yet. But, yeah, shout out. It is going to be fun. Of course, after the All-Star break. Sadiq Bey out here balling out. 22 a game? Is that right? How many games played? We can't get fooled again. 10 games played. Okay, Sadiq Bey is taking his game to another level. Lauri Markkanen, a little bit down in the numbers. So hopefully it's not like a new, lower efficient Lauri Markkanen after you trade for Jaren Jackson, because that's, again, the whole point of trading for him is to pair him with a teammate they already have like that. I guess in some sense, because you have so much there and you could reset, you're probably going to be tanking again this year. I mean, you could trade Markkanen, and now Jaren Jackson is your 4 instead of Markkanen, and you get the 3-point shooting and maybe some better defense. I could see that. I could see Ainge doing some cold-blooded moves like that. That is definitely some Ainge moves right there. Who would he trade Markkanen for? Hey, yo. Let me pull up the Tankathon real quick and see. Is there a crazy move? I didn't even consider that. But we have to remember that Ainge is running this team. And Ainge is down for anything. Pause. I think, whoa, hey, yo. But we've got, obviously Sacramento, Indiana. The Wizards, Dembasta, Anthony Davis, and Trae Young, they might win the East next year. It is what it is. So, yeah, they're at 6 right now. If he was trade the Jazz, I don't know if anybody in the top 5 want I don't know. Atlanta? Would Atlanta trade the number 4 overall pick for Markkanen? That might be a couple of spots too high. I think Kingston Fleming's stock is rising pretty good at this point. Caleb Wilson in Atlanta? I think they're definitely taking Caleb Wilson. Hey, yo. Or Keaton Wagler? I don't know. Is he a little bit of a bigger guard that might fit their mold? Pause. But Caleb Wilson with all those forwards would be pretty crazy. But if Chicago with this 10th pick, if Ivy really works out, I don't know. 13? Now that's an interesting proposition. I don't know. I do like, of course, the rookie contracts. The second apron, that is going to matter. So, take a deep breath, pause, think about it real quick. I think maybe, nail it. The opportunity to nail a draft pick, I think at this point is still more important than the opportunity to trade for a good player like Markkanen, a really, really good player like Markkanen. But that is starting to get to the perfect range where add another piece to next year. Yaxel Lendenborg might not play a lot if we draft him at 13. Again, Markkanen, you bring him in as a main guy right away and fits into that lineup as well, too. Can play the 4 next to Wemby. Doesn't take away from the guards that they already have. The Heat at 15 is another really interesting one. If the Heat gave up 2, I guess you gave up 3 for Jaren Jackson, right? So if you and maybe you should have just traded Jaren Jackson for Markkanen. Who knows? That would have been interesting. You still might have been able to get a pick back as well, too. Jaren Jackson and a pick. But if it's, Lauri Markkanen for Norm Powell and a bunch of firsts is the trade, or Jovic, or I guess maybe not Jovic, but maybe Jovic, because they've got Jaquez. You might be able to get Jaquez for Martin. I don't know. You kind of want to pair those guys together. Markkanen, Jaquez, Jovic, Bam, Norm Powell next year if he's still cooking in. Ayo. But the Blazers, OKC at 12 is another one. The Clippers, of course, haven't necessarily been the top 5 lottery picks they were looking like earlier. But if OKC wants to trade that pick for Markkanen, that's a move right there. That's a move. And I guess that 12 is going to be interesting for the Giannis sweepstakes once we hit that as well, too. Chet in the 12th pick and whatever else. But, however many 17 other picks you have to throw in there. But if you don't want to sacrifice every pick you have for Giannis and also don't want to give up Chet, you could probably get Markkanen for just picks from the Jazz. Hey, yo, that is watch list. And I think Presti might have eyed him for a while. Oh, Chet, I hate to end on such a bummer note, but Markkanen might be going to the Jazz or going to the Thunder in the offseason. It is what it is. But, shout out, like we said, Team World versus Team USA in the All-Star break is going to be a fun little mix-up. At least, again, the fun mix-ups works once. They work at least once. So it's exciting just to at least see what's going to happen. And then after that, who knows. But speaking of Carter Bryant, he will be Wemby with 37. Wemby put up 40 in the first half, people. Just, it is what it is. Remember, somebody once said he was going to be the best offensive player and defensive player in the league by year 3. And he's the best defensive player in the league. And he just dropped almost 40 in the first half. So, and like we said, Castle on his own team is going to be the reason that we win the finals. So, not saying, but just saying. But also Carter Bryant's going to be in the dunk contest. So we could, do we have MVP, Finals MVP, dunk contest? I don't know. I don't know what kind of trophies we're going to take home this year. If the dunk contest is the only one, that is a little bit of a bummer. But, hey, we'll be excited for Carter Bryant, and we'll still be excited that we were able to show out on a stage like that. Hey, yo. It is what it is. Maybe Wemby All-Star Game MVP? I don't know. We got to go. We're just talking about the Spurs at this point. So we'll be back Friday night. Actually, we've got some Rising Stars stuff actually Friday night. I think some other stuff in the works will be fun as well, too. I think we got a pretty important album anniversary this Friday to celebrate, kind of kick off the... I don't think we've had a historic... Did we do a movie yet? Ayo, I don't think we have. I forgot already if we did a movie this year. Hey, yo. But I don't think we've had a historic movie rewatch yet for 2026. I don't think we've had a historic album revisit yet as well, too. And I mean, this is going to be, of course, hey, yo. If there's a perfect way to start off the year, it is what it is. It could just be a one and done, honestly. Well, it can't be. 96, alone is a year enough to just do anniversaries on that. But hey, yo, we will be, like I said, back Friday. You can follow us here on the channel for a normal Sunday, Tuesday, Friday live stream schedule. We'll also pop out for special events. When needed, when called upon, if the Raymond Sam bat signal goes up in the air, the Raymond Sam bat pod responds. Hey, yo, maybe we could get a bat pod or do a bat pod. The bat pod? How has there not been the bat pod yet, Chad? Welcome to the bat pod. Oh, chat. Hey, yo. Stay tuned next week. The first episode of the Bat Pod. Same bat time, same bat channel. We can't wait. Be listening to albums as the Bat Pod. It'll be fun. Friday. We'll see you then. Follow the YouTube. Follow the podcast pages. Follow you can message us on Instagram if you want over there as well, too. We'll see you all in a couple days. Enjoy. I was gonna say, enjoy your time with family. Hey, yo, who knows? Are you gonna be with family the next couple days? Doubt it. But you'll be with the Rem and Sam Pod Friday night. So we'll see you then. Peace.